Would you look at us, ladies and gentlemen? This is Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network, and we are all here together in our beautiful, posh LA studios. It is Rick Kamla, Canadian basketball legend Dwight Walton. We have A.M. Pepper, and we have, of course, Dr. X, Dr. Phil McDonald. Yes, the Super Bowl went down yesterday. Me and Dwight and Phil and Jason and Kai were in here watching it. AM had some stuff going on, so now AM's back. The crew is here together, and we are going to rock and roll. Got a lot of Super Bowl talk. We're going to talk a lot of NBA as well. And so let's get into ranking this Super Bowl. All right, how do we rank it? I'll get us started here. We had a 29-13 beatdown of Seattle over New England. I call it a 2 out of 10, guys. It was a 0 until the fourth quarter. I mean, an absolute 0. It was a -5 in the first half. It was like watching an anaconda slowly squeeze the life out of an antelope. Sad, boring, unentertaining, and a bad ending, okay? The third quarter absolutely sucked. The fourth quarter gave us some fireworks. I give this game overall, like I said, a 2 out of 10. New England got exposed by a much better football team yesterday. They were in over their heads. Drake Maye was not the MVP runner-up on this day, okay? And in the end, I'm happy for Sam Darnold. 202 with a touch and no picks. Kenneth Walker, and we'll let Doc gloat about his call on Kenneth here in a minute. But he had the most rushing yards in the Super Bowl since Terrell Davis, okay, back in the 90s. I'm happy for the city of Seattle. Great sports city. They deserve this. And they may have another team coming soon. Stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about NBA expansion later. Finally, I was happy to see the area of New England take an L. And I'm not hating here, but when you talk about the Red Sox and the Bruins and the Patriots, and I'm blanking on one of their other teams.
The Celtics?
The Celtics. But they have so many championships, and that's led to some arrogance with that fan base. And so I'm happy that their beer didn't taste as good yesterday, and I'm happy that everybody up in Seattle was drinking that weird green that's in their uniform. They had that kind of beer, and it was not St. Patty's Day. A.M. Pepper, you go next, my man. Rank this Super Bowl.
99 out of 10. I'm a Jets fan, guys. I mean, they never threatened. The Patriots were never in the game. So for me, I'm like, Christmas Day.
You were enthralled the whole day.
It was just like, when are they going to sack him? You guys are bored to tears. But what am I looking at? When's Drake Maye getting sacked again? When is he going to get strip sacked? When is he going to throw the interception that comes with the picks? All these things happened, man. It was Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of it in one for me. It was the best possible thing. And the only reason I'm taking away the one where it's not 100 out of 10 is because, well, you get the story afterwards that he got the shot in his arm. So, there's a little bit, hey, the kid was hurt. He might still come back. And all of a sudden, the dynasty's still alive. What a 99, though.
It was great. It was great.
Okay, Dr. X, you go next. Wow, he loved the Super Bowl. We had quite the different emotion on that football game. Go ahead.
I mean, if you were a defensive buff, or you were really into who you picked as MVP, which is, I picked Kenneth Walker.
Let's go, Doc.
Third. So I kind of knew that.
I can confirm that.
Yeah, he was going to.
I
was like, wait, guys, before the kickoff.
We have the tape, too. We do have the tape.
So it was fun to see him, get open and get live and popping right away. And then on top of that, the defense, even though it was boring, it was like, wait, this might be the first shutout ever. And, unfortunately, there was a touchdown that you predicted. Yeah, so, but it still was impressive. It still was a masterclass on defense that, Mike McDonald, painted. So I was pretty good with that.
I mean, he called Kenneth Walker. I said Drake Maye. I thought New England was going to win that. Sorry, guys. And you took Sam Darnold.
Yes.
And Doc took Kenneth Walker. A call that neither of us hated. But, it's a little bit out over your skis to go with a non-quarterback. But Doc nailed it, baby. Absolutely nailed it. Dwight Walton, take as long as you want. The floor is yours. Rank that Super Bowl.
Well, listen, first of all, I'm going to rank it a 3 out of 10. But from a football purist standpoint, Rick, I think it was a great game because of the defense. The rules today in most professional sports, at least in North America, they cater towards the offense because fans want to be entertained. We wanted to be entertained yesterday, and that's the reason why our scores, for the most part, except for our friend AM here, are quite low for the Super Bowl. But again, in an era where offense is paramount, the defense is shunned through yesterday. And if not for the performance by the Patriots defense in that first half, we were on our way to possibly a Super Bowl blowout of epic proportions. The Patriots were able to hold the Seahawks to 3 field goals. So that's what made it boring. However, in the second half, things picked up, offense picked up. Come to find out that Maye had a cortisone shot done before the game. Otherwise, we were questioning the game plan that was called by Josh McDaniel and head coach Mike Vrabel. It seemed conservative. It seemed too cautious. While Sam Darnold was out there flinging the rock, if you want to call it that. There was a couple of close calls early in that game. But overall, to your point, the better team won. Seattle was the favorite, the overwhelming favorite, according to all the pundits coming into the game. But again, from a purist standpoint, if you're about defense, it was a great first half. But overall, in terms of entertainment factors and everything else that in between here, it was a 3 out of 10 for me. It could have been a lot better. And again, the defense is shunned through. Underwhelming performances by both quarterbacks, but in terms of excitement, definitely a 3 out of 10.
So let's focus on Sam Darnold a little bit. We're all happy with the redemption story. First quarterback in NFL history to win a Super Bowl, playing with 5+ teams. And if that stat is wrong, blame NBC because they had it. But it gives you an example of journeymen don't win Super Bowls, right? They don't. I mean, 5 teams in 8 years, that's a journeyman quarterback. You know, it's the established guys that are there 10, 15 years or whatever. Typically, Sam Darnold broke that mold. Dr. X, you first on this one. There's a debate about a lot of QBs. Is he an elite QB, right? Is Maye an elite QB? Obviously, guys like Tom Brady, where Matt Stafford is, right? And so it comes down, a little bit to your definition of what an elite QB is, and also what you've seen from Sam Darnold. And I don't know if this is a narrative, but Sam Darnold just won the Super Bowl. And he was an elite QB coming out of USC, right? And lost his way and some bad, he got jetted and he got Vikinged, okay? But now he's with the Seahawks and he wins. So would you call him an elite quarterback?
I think he's an elite quarterback, but if you were to tear it out and you were to say, I would say he's tier 1B. And what you need from him is like any given night, can you put up 300+ yards? Yes, he can do that. He did it against the Rams. And then can you also just not sink your team, like not throw interceptions? Can you play it safe as well as, so I almost rank him about the same as Jalen Hurts. Play it safe, capable of having a big game in the Super Bowl, because Jalen Hurts' Super Bowl stats are incredible.
Yep.
So he was very aggressive when he needed to be, but he wasn't so aggressive that he threw the game away. So I put him at tier 1B.
I can't. I mean, Hurts has got a ring. Darnold's got a ring. I'd rather rock and roll with Jalen, but boy, that was an eye-opening comment right there. I'm like, that's
got you.
That's not far. At first, I was like, I'm a big Hurts guy, but I was like, Doc got a point here. Doc got a point, man. Sam and Hurts are pretty close. Why I go to you next? Is Sam Darnold an elite quarterback?
You know how this goes, Rick. Everybody was waiting for the shoe to drop with Sam Darnold.
Who?
I could say specifics. Stephen A. Smith, Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, anybody out there right now that
friend of the show, by the way,
right? That watches football. They were all waiting for Sam Darnold's shoe to drop. And what I mean by that is, over the last 2 years, including yesterday, I believe Sam Darnold has won 31 football games.
14-3 each of the last 2 regular seasons.
Correct. But what we tend to focus on are the duds.
Right.
The last game against Detroit last season.
The 4-interception game against the Rams.
Right. Then the playoff loss last season.
Good point.
Then the 4-interception game against the Rams earlier this season. In the second game, if not for a Rashid Shaheed punt return in that football game, that sort of saved what was also a horrible night for Sam Darnold. So again, he redeemed himself yesterday. That was not a classic performance by Sam Darnold. So there's still going to be skeptics out there. Can he get it done in the big football game? At the end of the day, he's a Super Bowl champion. Mm-hmm. The defense definitely carried him yesterday. My cousin's MVP choice before the game, I got to stress that, Kenneth Walker III was the MVP. He carried Sam Darnold, so to speak. Darnold made the throws when he had to. There were a couple of close calls, which, again, you know how this goes. There are going to be skeptics out there. He still didn't play great in the big game, but what can't be taken away from him is that he is a Super Bowl champ. And that's all what matters. He can go to his grave with that, no matter what us, the pundits out there, can say. He's a Super Bowl champ, no matter who carried him, whether it was the running back or the Seahawks defense.
Y'all are looking clean out here too, man. I got to say that. Y'all are looking clean. Folks at home, I mean, look at your boys right here. All right, it's like a mob movie out here in LA. I love it.
I got the pinky ring to prove it.
You got the pinky ring. All right, is Sam Darnold an elite quarterback?
No, and he's not even close to an elite quarterback. Yeah, I mean, this is a math question, guys. You know, when you're talking about athletes, top 10% is what you're looking for in athletics, and that's who you're considered elite. If you want to expand that a little bit for the quarterbacks, that's fair. I'd go up to 20%. Okay, well, that's 6 out of the 32 in the league, right? He's not a top 6 guy, and you're not building a franchise around him. You're still taking an aging Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes over him to build your franchise around. He's not an elite quarterback. Doesn't mean I'm taking anything away from the guy. I'm just answering Rick Kamla's question.
Yep.
He's not an elite quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. He's turned himself into close to a pretty damn good quarterback at this point. He is mentally elite, though, and I think that's pretty cool. And I want to distinguish that, because we talked about this previously, what he went through in those back-to-back games just last year on your Minnesota Vikings to come back, to get traded, to go, not your Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, you're divorced. To the Minnesota Vikings. Right? You are. That, you know, what he did, and to come back and get on a new team. And you saw what happened with Mike McDonald this year, too. Let's not forget, like, you can see the first half of the year, McDonald didn't exactly trust him, right? The tether was given out a little bit more each week, and it was like, oh, you do have a thing going on with JSN. Oh, you can consistently throw the deep ball. Oh, you can get over the hump and beat your kryptonite Los Angeles Rams, right? And then you get into the playoffs, and he did just what he needed to do. Look what the odds were for this man to throw an interception in the Super Bowl. And a lot of people made that prop bet, and he didn't do it. And that's big too. He didn't cost his team. He's mentally elite. He's a good dude by all metrics, and that's it. You know, as a Jets fan, I'm so happy to see where he ended up, obviously. But as far as like a quote unquote elite quarterback, not even close.
If I can interject,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I may.
Do you need me to step out?
No. It's just that. When it comes to Sam, first of all, I just wanted Sam Darnold not to be the reason that the Seahawks lost the Super Bowl yesterday. I wanted him to play well. I thought he would throw a pick simply because it's a Super Bowl. He's a gunslinger. He takes chances, and that's how he plays. Also, what I don't like is that for whatever reason, we tend to treat Sam Darnold as if he's 38 years old. He just turned 28. He's just getting into the prime of his career, and he's improving as a quarterback. I think that needs to be acknowledged. But again, in going into this football game, like AM just said, the skeptics were out there. We were all waiting for him to make the big mistake, and he didn't. And again, there are going to be skeptics out there who said he didn't play well, but the defense carried him. So it is what it is with Sam Darnold. But again, next year, he's going to be even better. He's going to have more confidence. Seattle's definitely going to trust in him. He's going to go into every restaurant now. Every meal for the rest of his life is going to be free in Seattle, because at the end of the day, he's a Super Bowl champ. Is he an elite quarterback? No, he's not. But I think the trajectory is there. He has the chance to do that. But there's always going to be skeptics out there, no matter what he does going forward.
Let's play revisionist history for one quick second. Take you back 2 years, right? He's on the San Francisco 49ers as their backup. Do you think Shanahan lets him go this time, or do you think they still give Purdy the extension, or would he rather have Sam Darnold at this point?
Boy, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Purdy almost.
I think Purdy's a little bit more talented.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's close. Go ahead.
No, again, Purdy almost lost his job to Matt Jones this year. So let's keep that in perspective as well. From an overall talent perspective, for me, I think Darnold is better, but Purdy is more trusted, if that makes sense. I think the trust value will go up more for Darnold now because he just won the Super Bowl. Right. So he has that cachet. But going into the game yesterday, I would say Purdy might have been more trusted overall.
Is Purdy a better fit in Shanahan's system? Because I feel like, Purdy was the last pick in the draft, you guys. He should not be
irrelevant
in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
That's typically how that goes. You're on a practice squad, you're Nathan Peterman, you bounce around a little bit, you end up selling insurance or something. Okay, like it's a fine career. Okay, I'm just saying, but you're not playing football anymore. And for me, like Shanahan's system is unique, right? Not every quarterback's going to fit in that system. So I think Darnold might have a little. I think he's got more leg wiggle than Brock Purdy. But I think Purdy's a better fit in that system.
What do you think, Doc?
I personally think Sam Darnold is properly ranked by you guys, but it really doesn't matter. Honestly speaking, he's a Super Bowl champ. That's what it boils down to.
That clears everything.
And then now it's like, he's just only going to grow with the team. They're only going to get better. He has that, the dark side defense, has his back. He knows he has some rope to be creative, to be aggressive, and not, necessarily throw the game away.
And Kenneth Walker Jr.
Kenneth Walker,
And MVP, Kenneth Walker.
He has all the weapons. I just think how is New England going to recover from this? And obviously they got to get an offensive line.
They'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. But, offensive lines don't grow on trees.
No, they don't. We're going to talk about Drake Maye, kind of how he moves forward here in a little bit. It's Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. What's up, people? Reacting to the Super Bowl, and your boys are looking good, man. Looking good. We got a little internal battle. Put comments. Who's got the shiniest, fanciest suit? I don't know. I'm thinking we got a winner over here with that maroon jacket. But all right, is Sam Darnold an elite quarterback? I'll give you my answer, and we'll keep it moving here. The answer for me is no. Winning a Super Bowl does not automatically make you elite, and I think we're in an accord here on this desk about that. Brad Johnson, not elite. Trent Dilfer, not elite. Jeff Hostetler, not elite. Nick Foles, not elite. Joe Flacco, close, not elite. Jim McMahon, not elite. He was an elite character. He was not an elite football player. He was a very, very good football player. The 85 Bears defense, the best defense in NFL history. And Sam Darnold has a similar dynamic to that. There have been many teams in NFL history where a killer defense led the way. The Bucs with Gruden. You think about the Ravens with Ray Lewis, the Doomsday Dallas Cowboys, the Steel Curtain.
Bears with McMahon.
There you go. I mean, there's been a ton of them, right? And this Seahawks defense is right there. The 85 Bears is the best defense I've ever seen in any sport. Okay, so that's why we're not doing this. Rank Seattle's defense, it's meaningless to do. Darnold completed 50% of his passes in the Super Bowl. Okay, obviously that's dreadful. He missed a couple of long touchdowns and just missed the throw. Okay, and you guys have talked about that. Nobody's banging on Sam, but it was not a work of art from Sam Darnold at all. But he's a champion. And I think that's awesome, but he is not elite. Let me give you some stats. He's thrown for 4,000 yards twice in 8 years. 4,000 yards is the standard right now. And obviously he's had truncated seasons and he's moved around, but still the stat is the stat. His career completion percentage is 62%. That's awful, okay? And it's getting better, as you guys have said, but overall, that's not good at all. His TD to INT ratio for his career is 123 to 82. It's not good. It's below average. And his career rating is 86.5, again below average. So he's so much better than all these stats say, but not elite. Let's keep it moving here, guys. Okay. I'm excited for this one. Me and Dwight and Doc talked a lot about this during Super Bowl Sunday. And we have gotten a new development with the Drake Maye injury news here. He acknowledged that he received a pain-killing injection for his right throwing shoulder before the Super Bowl. He made it clear he was ready to go, and at the same time adds that context that he was dealing with this injury-wise. His numbers, 27 of 43, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a fumble loss. So 3 total turnovers here. I'll go first, guys. We're playing the blame game here on the patch. And by the way, you can blame the kicker. I don't even know who their kicker is. Borgalis, I think. You can blame anybody you want, but I'm kind of framing this as if Maye is Vrabel, and you can take it anywhere you want to go. For me, it's Vrabel, okay? Most of those goodies that we talked about with Drake Maye came in the second half. When the Pats were in such a deep hole, they had no other choice. And then the defense obviously knows exactly what you're doing, too. Vrabel and Josh McDaniels' play calling was nothing but runs and short passes for the first 3 quarters. Now, was that because of Maye's shoulder, or being overly conservative with a young quarterback against a historically deep defense, historically awesome defense, which is the only thing that we had the only place our brains could go during the football game. We now have this development. Here's my answer, okay? They were being too conservative and frankly a little arrogant, okay? Arrogance with the Patriots? No way. Yeah, way, okay? You can't win the Super Bowl by playing not to lose, and that's what it was. The defense was keeping them in the game, playing the long game. You're patient. You're going to wait for your opportunity, blah, blah, blah. It never came, okay? The Pats, they're down 19-0. The game's freaking over, all right? The Pats needed to throw intermediate, and maybe Maye couldn't throw a 50-yard bomb, okay? But you need to throw 20-yard, 30-yard passes. He had that in him. We saw that in the fourth quarter. He had that in him. And so you got to open it up. You can't just play in the box against Seattle, be conservative. And guys, it's kind of like this. You can't win a fight if you don't throw when he punches. And even if you miss and through that miss, a guy just clocks you with an uppercut, at least you're throwing punches out there and you're in the fight. They weren't even in the fight. If Drake Maye was in the game, okay, which he was, you got to play it straight. Like, okay, cortisone shot, everybody knows right shoulder. He's playing. He's got a chin strap on. He's got a jock strap on. The world is watching. Let him play, okay? And then that goes back to coaching. That's not on Maye, okay? Do you think Drake Maye was like, dude, I want to throw nothing but checkdowns and screens and little dump-offs over the middle? There's no way Drake Maye wanted that, okay? That's why it's not his fault. It wasn't his decision. This is on Vrabel, who's obviously north of Josh McDaniels, and you brought it up yesterday. Yes, Josh McDaniels calls the play, but guess what? That CEO coach right there is in his ear the whole game. He's not a stoic Tom Landry type, okay? Mike Vrabel's always in his headset, talking, directing, and so he had the ability to go, dude, let's open up the offense here before halftime, which a lot of times they wait, and I never like that. Make an adjustment midway through the second quarter. Try to win the game. But overall, Mike Vrabel got coached under the stadium by Mike McDonald. Okay, so I blame Mike Vrabel for the Patriots' loss. Dr. X, I go to you.
I have to go with Josh McDaniel. I feel like playing it safe was really what hurt this whole Super Bowl. And it would have been nice if, I get it though. And honestly speaking, it's really, you got to tip your hat to the New England defense, especially Gonzalez, because I think Sam Darnold, we'd be speaking a little bit differently about Sam Darnold today if it weren't for Gonzalez. There were a couple of passes,
good point,
that would have changed the whole game, would have broke it wide open, and then maybe, Maye would have been more aggressive leading into the, second half to get away, close up that gap. But honestly speaking, I think it's Josh McDaniel. They show that they have no faith in their quarterback. The whole cortisone shot, that's supposed to make you feel less pain and take the inflammation down and make you feel better than you were prior to needing the shot. So unless they did the shot that day, I'm not sure the intel on that. But
it was just prior to the game.
Just prior to the game being the same day? Because, technically you're not supposed to do any activity hardcore after getting a steroid injection because you swell up the capsule and then you can actually lead to further injury. So you want to make sure the swelling goes down from all the good stuff you have in there, the lidocaine, the cortisone.
Why didn't they consult with Dr. X?
Seriously, for real.
It sounds like they got that all wrong.
Yeah, if they were going to do it, they should have did it like at least 2 days before. But maybe they put less in, maybe they compensated for the fact that he was. So I don't know the details on that, but technically the lidocaine has you feeling like you can take over the world, like the lidocaine in the joint. So he should have felt no pain. He should have been okay. So I don't buy it as an excuse. I think it was Josh McDaniels. But ultimately, were those guys open? You know what I mean? Because we talked about it yesterday. Were those guys open? Was Stephon Diggs actually open? Because if he was, he would have threw it. You get what I'm saying? So all in all, I just feel like the defense of Seattle you have to tip their hat to them,
100%.
And that's why you can't be aggressive with a defense like that.
A.M. Pfeffer, I blame Mike Vrabel. And by the way, I love Mike Vrabel, okay? Like, if I were an owner of an NFL team, I'd pay him $15 million to coach my team. I just think he did a horse bleed job for one day, okay? That guy right there is an absolute gangster, and I love him overall. Who's to blame on the New England side?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that question, but I love you brought up Christian Gonzalez because Devon Witherspoon on the other side was just as good, if not better, right? And it just goes to show how important it is to have the lockdown corner or maniac cornerback, right? I mean, he was behind the line of scrimmage on a number of plays getting it done as well. So, we've spoken about that before as a cornerstone, and that's pretty cool. Here's the blame. 0% on Drake Maye, okay? Vrabel is somewhere around 75 to 80%, and then McDaniel all the way down to the offensive line coach, the passing game coordinator, everyone on the offensive side of the ball. Guys, it was a joke what they put on the field for 3.5 quarters. That was not the way to play Seattle's defense, right? You knew they were going to come out. You knew they were going to be fired up. DeMarcus Lawrence, Leonard Williams, another ex-Jet, by the way. Good for him. Okay? So, not enough spoken about him getting off the Jets when he did and getting over there and becoming a major part of that Seattle defense. But you look at what they did. If you're going to play Mike McDonald, you should be Mike McDaniels. What do I mean by that? You've got to counterpunch. You should have had Maye out of the pocket running. You should have been running a lot of reverses. This was the time to actually try. You talk about conservative or a little too conservative. You needed to go out there and play an entirely different game. Trayvon Henderson should have had 60 touches on wheel routes and handed the ball on end around.
Rick,
it was driving me crazy.
You're right.
It was driving me crazy.
You just think that you're getting it done or pushing these guys around. No, not even close to what was happening. Again, a misdirection. Take the a page out of what you did with Tua at certain times. That's what you had to deal with Seattle's defense and Maye's injury. It should have been a wholly different game. It is what it is, but not a naked bootleg to be found. That was just a major mistake. Mike Vrabel obviously deserves pretty much all the blame for this.
Okay.
Come on in here, Dwight. Come on in here.
Listen, we can sit here and blame Mike Vrabel. We can sit here and blame Josh McDaniels. But I want to give a shout out and kudos, and his name escapes me right now, the defensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's the reason for why Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, and most importantly, Drake Maye on the football field, was confused. Drake Maye thought he saw players open, but because of the defensive scheme, the game plan that the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks put forth yesterday, he disguised everything, going zone, mid-play, turning to man, going man, mid-play, turning to zone. What Drake Maye thought was there and ultimately ended up not being there. They pitched a shutout in that first half. And the motivation for the rest of the game was that, we could be the first team in Super Bowl history to pitch a shutout in the most important game of the season. So, again, I think Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniel tried to cater to the situation that Josh McDaniel was in. I would assume, Dr. Phil McDonald, that Drake Maye received a cortisone shot on Friday. It sounds better when they say he got a shot just before the game, because to your point, and trust me, I'm speaking from experience, I've had many cortisone shots to get myself back on the basketball court.
Did you ever have one day of the game?
No, that's the point. It sounds better over the media airwaves and to the fans.
You can say just before.
That he got the shot just
semantics.
Before. But it doesn't work. In order for the shot to work, it's got to get into your bloodstream, and all those words you talked about needs to get to the system and for it to work. So we had it on Friday. I'm almost sure of that. But the coaching staff knew that going in. So that's why you saw the intermediate passes, the screen dump downs, all that kind of stuff to hopefully get his arm warm as the game went on. So while we can sit here and blame Vrabel and McDaniel, I want to give a shout out to the defensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks for putting forth a game plan that confused a very accomplished quarterback in Drake Maye, but a very young quarterback in terms of his experience in the National Football League. Trust me, he will learn from this going forward. This will make him a much better football player, and this experience in this game, I think, will galvanize and make him a better player going forward. So if I have to blame somebody, I want to blame the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks for putting Josh McDaniel and Mike Vrabel into the position to where they forced that young quarterback to play the way that he did, if that makes any sense.
Yes, no, it definitely does. Aiden Durd,
Aiden Durd, much kudos to you. And of course, Clint Kubiak once he won that game yesterday for the Seattle Seahawks, the offensive coordinator then took the job officially with the Las Vegas Raiders.
I think he still had confetti in his hair when he took that
Yes.
job, wasn't he? He was like, he was taking the call. He was like on the phone with them, like as he's raising the Lombardi.
So he became a millionaire right off
the hop.
Because you ain't a millionaire as an assistant coach.
No, you're not. But again, it's. I can understand Vrabel and McDaniels going into that game because they knew their quarterback wasn't 100%. And while Drake Maye did the right thing and said, I'm not going to sit here and blame my shoulder, because once I'm on the football field, I'm on the football field. So that excuse is gone. But I think it also handicapped Vrabel and McDaniel in what they truly wanted to do. That being said, I think Seattle still would have stopped Drake Maye. I just think that the defensive scheme was too intricate. It was too confusing. It was disguised extremely well. So that's why you saw the offensive lack of performance from the New England Patriots.
I have a quick question. So the offensive line, obviously they got to the Super Bowl, but this kind of mirrors what happened last year with the Chiefs and the Eagles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they had to be good enough to get to the Super Bowl,
correct?
Right? Because they would have got slaughtered. They wouldn't have even made it this far, even to the playoffs. So how unmatched were they, the defensive line of the Seattle Seahawks versus the offensive line? Was it glaring prior to the game?
That's an awesome question. So the Patriots beat the Chargers, top 5 defense. They beat the Broncos, top 5 defense, and they beat the Texans, top 5 defense. The Broncos have the best pass rush in the NFL by far 2 years in a row, even better than Seattle, this stat say. And so they held them off and beat them. So I think New England's offensive line is pretty damn good. I think this is how freaking extraordinary that Seattle defense is. That they did what 3 top 5 defenses couldn't do, right?
Totally different.
Completely cave in Drake Maye. What was 7 sacks, 6 sacks, whatever it was. Great question.
Six sacks.
But if we look at Drake Maye's previous 3 weeks, I think he was sacked 15 times over those, right?
Yeah.
And you're talking about 2 rookie offensive tackles they put on the field, including Will Campbell, who's had, I think there's a lot of Patriots fans who think he had a little better year than he actually had, right? He had a good stretch, and there were times he played very well, but he was overmatched throughout the playoffs, and he was overmatched in that Super Bowl. He's your blindside protector, and he didn't look any.
No.
He was protecting no one's blindside. So, before the game, overmatched. And that just goes back to Rick, your point about, have a better game plan, right? Because, again, throw the misdirection. Throw what Mike McDaniels would have done. Don't put Drake Maye in this situation. He just got crushed for 3 weeks in a row. He's got a shoulder injury, and they are unloading on him in the Super Bowl. You knew they were coming, and McDaniels and Vrabel had no plan for it. And they didn't really – once it was happening, they made no adjustments.
Yeah.
So again, if I could harken back, and if I'm throwing water on the Patriots as they got to the Super Bowl, so be it. That's how.
At this point, you can, because they pooped the bed yesterday. So if you want to go in, go in.
Yeah.
So Rick, this is how it's going to sound. That Broncos game, in my mind, it doesn't count. We could have found out, because during that Broncos game, if the offensive line for the Patriots were legit. Why? I could have coached in the second half. All the Patriots did was hand the ball off to the running back, hopefully get us as close to field goal range as we can, and hopefully we make the field goal. That the weather, the elements changed everything. So we didn't see if the Patriots can be exposed on the offensive line because they weren't throwing the football.
Yeah.
There really wasn't any pass rush. You knew that the Patriots were going to run the football because of the elements. So that was a good question. However, I think going into the game yesterday, the reason why most of us had the Seahawks winning is because we didn't trust the Patriots offensively, regardless going to the game. They beat a very challenged offensive team in the Chargers. They beat a very challenged offensive team in the Texans in that football game. And then the elements took over in the game against the Broncos. So as much as Drake Maye had a great season, as much as Stephon Diggs had a great season, as much as the offense for the Patriots had a great season overall, that was the question going into the Super Bowl, and why we had more faith, and you want to put that in quotation marks, in Sam Darnold than we did Drake Maye. Injury or not, I just don't think the Patriots were good enough. They didn't prove it against a team whose offense was markedly better in the Seahawks, and that's what ultimately did them their doom in the Super Bowl.
And you think about who the Seahawks, just beating the Rams. I thought the Rams were going to win the Super Bowl this year. They had a killer defense. You've got the two backs, Kyron and Corum. You've got great wide receivers. Obviously, Stafford was the MVP. I really thought it was so Seattle, they validated everything. There's no, you can't but this championship, but you can but New England being in that Super Bowl.
But you know what, Rick? I'll tell you where Sam Darnold had the skeptics sort of leaning towards his side going into the Super Bowl. If you would have told all of us that play for play, stat for stat, that Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold were relatively equal, who would you have chosen to win that game?
Seattle.
No. I'm talking, if Matthew Stafford, Stafford, I think, had the better stats in the game, no? Yet the Seattle Seahawks won the football game.
Yeah, they both had great stats.
So you wouldn't think that if both quarterbacks played well, you wouldn't normally say Darnold outplayed Stafford. Once the Seahawks beat the Rams in an equally offensive output of a game, that's where I think the skeptics started to slide towards Darnold in their faith. But that being said, again, they were waiting for the shoe to drop. I know I've said that statement many times, but they were waiting for it to happen. It didn't happen. Darnold is a Super Bowl quarterback. Look at the quarterbacks in his draft class, Sam. The ones that were supposed to be better than him, or have had the better
Josh
career.
Allen's the
better career.
Yeah.
But who has a Super Bowl ring right now?
Yeah. No, look, we're going to give it to him. But again, you got to go back and give it to Seattle's defense is really the answer. And even Sam would admit that. Look, again, is he an elite quarterback? No. He had the most turnovers of any player in the National Football League this year. We didn't even bring that up. He's number one. Sam Darnold had more fumbles and interceptions than anybody in the league this year. But even still, I like your answer, Cam. If you're telling me that it was the Rams going up against Seattle for a fourth game and that was the Super Bowl, I would have picked Seattle.
Okay.
The defense came to play this year.
Yeah.
They showed up like the historical defense. You're right. The 85 Bears are the best. It's not even worth having a conversation.
It's not even
but
close.
But Seattle's in the top five now. This 2025 team is probably in the top 5 or 6 defenses.
The dark side.
I agree.
Yeah,
the dark side.
Even over the previous
Legion of Boom.
Legion of Boom. I mean,
this team won a Super Bowl,
but they're also up
did.
there.
They did.
That 1 year of Seattle winning the Super Bowl, they're one of the best defenses in the league, and now the 2025 in history is one of the best.
So is it safe to say that 2 of the top 5 defenses in Super Bowl history belong to Seattle?
Two of the top 10, I'm ready to say.
Okay.
2 of the top, because I got to put the Bucs defense with Sapp and Derek Brooks and John Lynch and all those guys.
The Ravens are number 2.
I got to put the Ravens with Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, and all those guys. I got to go back to the Steel Curtain, right? Yeah. So I think one of these Seattle defenses is in the top 5. I'm comfortable right now saying both of them are in the top 10.
Okay.
But all right, let's move on here, guys. It is Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Let's talk about Drake Maye a little bit here. The first 3 quarters were like, dude. And then, and Dwight kept saying, this guy's going to throw for 300 yards. He has not had a good game. He ended up with 295. So, AM, you first on this. Will this beatdown damage Drake Maye at all moving forward?
No, I don't think so. Not at all. I mean, too early in his career, it made it to the Super Bowl. Great infrastructure, the right team to be on. He has all the talent. He's as advertised. I mean, again, didn't play well in the playoffs, but like we talked about, I mean, he was put on the turf time and time again. I don't care who you are or how elite you are. That's going to take its toll on you mentally. But he's absolutely still plenty young. He's way ahead of development. I'm not throwing him out there and saying he's Tom Brady and here come 5 or 6 Super Bowls and here comes a Hall of Fame career. But I don't see this damaging him whatsoever. I hope his shoulder's all right. Even as a Jets fan, you like to see true talent. You like to see guys who are good. He was an interesting figure, especially pre-draft process of who was in on him and who was out. Rick, I know you were so in on him and you were so right. He is that good. I want him to be. I know that sounds strange as a Jet fan, and yes, I enjoyed 99 out of 10 the Super Bowl. But from a fan's perspective, you want to see good quarterback play, and I think he's going to be just fine moving forward.
Doc, any worry about him moving forward after this pretty salty look for him yesterday?
No, I don't. I'm not worried about it. But you know how it goes. They're gonna table this for later on in his career. If there's a pattern, let's say they strengthen the offensive line, they're gonna bring back this performance as well. And you're able to gloss over the details now as time moves on. Like this is just gonna be his stats. No one's gonna talk about the quarter so shot. No one's going to talk about his weak offensive line. They're just going to say, this is how you play. These are your stats. How many times you got sacked. This is how many interceptions, how many losses you have in the Super Bowl. All the details are going to be gone. So they'll bring it out if he doesn't have further success later.
And to your point, Dwight, 20 years from now, Drake Maye's performance yesterday is going to look a hell of a lot better with 295 and 2 scores than it did when we were watching that excruciating football game yesterday. Did you see this damaging Drake at all moving forward?
Not at all. And listen, we joked about it yesterday when we saw it. Mike Vrabel wasn't happy. His very dicey handshake with the head coach of Seattle. He basically gave him the fish. He flicked him off.
Yeah. Didn't no eye contact.
No eye contact. So the reason why I bring up Vrabel, Drake Maye is cut from the same cloth as Mike Vrabel. He's a tough kid. All right. He's going to table this performance yesterday. He knows in the back, he said the right thing by saying it wasn't the shot. In his mind, he feels I had an excuse. I wasn't 100%. I'm going to make sure that I get my foot. I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to do my part in aiding this team to get back to the Super Bowl. Now, there's plenty of quarterbacks out there who have gotten to the Super Bowl early in their career. And sometimes you think, you know what? This is easy. We're going to get back. But it's not that simple. Dan Marino's the classic case for that. But I just think New England right now is in such great shape in that AFC East. Poor AM's New York Jets. I don't know how good they're going to be going forward here.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. I'm trying to be nice. All right? Try to be nice. Buffalo's going to be there for sure. Who knows what Miami's going to bring, although they had a better second half to their season. But Drake Maye, I am not worried about him one iota. Tough both mentally and physically. He's a big kid, big, strong kid. Again, cut from the same cloth as Mike Vrabel. He'll be just fine. He knows what it takes, and he will learn from that experience that Aiden Duran and that Seahawk defense put on him yesterday. He now basically has an understanding of what it is to see disguised defenses and what he needs to do on film and on the field to be a better quarterback. Drake Maye, you'll be just fine. I've got much faith in you, partner.
He was in quarterback med school yesterday. He was in
100%.
quarterback med school,
100%.
Getting a learning. I agree with you guys. There's no way. Maye got Vrabeled in this game, as we talked about. Also, this is one of the best defenses in NFL history. Top 10. Okay, They validated it. Maye is a baller. He's a can't-miss 10-time Pro Bowler, perhaps a champion one day. I don't know. But think about it. Joe Burrow did not win the Super Bowl in his year 2 appearance. Dan Marino didn't win the Super Bowl when he went to the Super Bowl in year 2. And both are all-time great quarterbacks despite that setback. Maye this year, 4,394 yards, 31 TDs, 8 picks, led the league at 72% completions, led the league in rating, led the league in QBR. So he was the most efficient quarterback, even more efficient, maybe not as productive as Matt Stafford, but he was more efficient and clean than Matt Stafford.
So that's my question. And I'm glad you brought that up. I saw the side-by-side comparison of Matthew Stafford and Drake Maye. Why did Stafford win the MVP? If you can put context into like anybody out there, why was Stafford given the MVP over Drake Maye when Drake Maye, basically, if you go by the numbers, he outplayed Matthew Stafford this season?
Okay, a couple things on it. It's a great question. I got to go to Stafford's numbers. 46 touchdowns to 31. 46 touchdown passes to 31 is huge. He had more passing yards by about 400. They had the same amount of interceptions. And like I said, Maye was more efficient and maybe a little cleaner, and that leads to rating and QBR and all that AM Pepper stuff. Okay. And I only dabble. I dip my toes in those waters. AM dives in with his cell phone in his pocket. Okay. But here's the other thing with that. And I was like bringing, the media and voters and conspiracy theories in. Matt Stafford would have gotten my vote.
Okay.
46 touchdowns is why. But
that's the only difference, though, Rick.
But here's the thing.
That's not the only difference.
A lot of voters get it in their head. Week 8, week 9, week 10, week 11, Stafford's the MVP. Okay, and they're talking with their boys and their ladies and men in the media room, and hey, who's your MVP right now? Stafford. And it tends to just stick with you. Heisman voting's a lot that way.
Yep.
Okay, Lamar Jackson should not have won the Heisman. And Lamar, I love you. Not mad at you at all. Deshaun Watson should have won the Heisman that year. You remember Lamar Jackson took college football by storm. Okay, and then you guys know what happened throughout the year? He went like this. Okay, and the first 7 games of a college season, what are they? Okay, cupcakes, bad in-conference matchups. You're always 7-0 or 8-0 or whatever, and then you play the big boys. Okay, that's always how they stack it. He lost to Kentucky. Lost a couple games. The stats dipped, and Deshaun Watson, all he did was go bing and skyrocket up. But they put the voting to bed early, and I think there was a lot of that with Stafford that. There's really nobody that could have beat him, right? But 46-31 in TD passes is pretty significant.
Yeah, but when you go to Pro Football Reference or anybody that scouts professional football, they put QBR rating at the top of the list in terms of how they evaluate quarterbacks, right? Now, again, 46-31 is a wide margin. I will give Stafford that. But who had the better QBR this season? May did.
He did. Let me look at how big of a difference.
You guys are just comparing these two guys, though. The most valuable player is the impact that they have on the team. And the reality was the Patriots had a better defense. The Rams' defense was decent. It wasn't as good as I think all of us are giving them credit for. And you can throw on them. The secondary was not there, guys. The Patriots' defense was exceptional this year. And Mike Vrabel was an exceptional coach throughout the season and made all the right decisions, Belichickian style. And by the way, and the other part of this, and this is the reality, the Patriots had the easiest or one of the easiest schedules to play. And that's not something that the voters take lightly. So all in all, when you start throwing all of that into it, Matthew Stafford's the MVP.
So to answer your question, QBR, Drake was 77.1, Stafford was 71. So, a little bit of a separation, but kind of tight.
But both being over 70s, it's amazing.
But to AM, I like AM's response. I think the defense, the same way the defense carried Darnold in the Super Bowl, the defense sort of was the calling card for the Patriots. And just Drake May did what he had to do, didn't make the big mistake, and he fell 5 points short in the MVP voting to Stafford. So, again, but
point. It was super close.
It was rightfully close.
So, again, the defense to me was the story this season in New England.
So, just lastly here on Drake May, Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte, and Stephon Diggs. One of these years is going to have that Mike Evans year, where you're the most consistent guy every year, you kill it, and then, now you're 34, and now you're 34, okay? And we know how that doesn't really happen to quarterbacks. But to wide receivers, age is a huge thing. And a lot of times guys get to 31, 32, and they die, okay? Some are able to go 34, 35, Jerry Rice and these GOATs, T.O. and Moss and these guys, they played a lot. That's super, super, super rare, okay? So I don't know what Diggs is going to bring to the party next year. Here's the free agents in the NFL at the wide receiver position. George Pickens, baller. We all love him. Mike Evans. Okay, I think Mike Evans would be the perfect mercenary to bring up to New England for a year or two. Not going to cost you a ton of money. He's a GOAT. Okay, he's probably a top 10 wide receiver of all time. Alec Pierce, not a huge fan. Wan'Dale Robinson, he's a slot. He's Rashid Shaheed, who just won a Super Bowl with Seattle. Juwan Jennings had a breakout year with the Niners. Romeo Doubs, who I like a lot. All he does is catch touchdowns like Chris Carter back in the day. Marquise Brown, who is half man, half a season. I'm not into it. And Deebo Samuel, who appears to be kind of sort of washed. But to me, New England's got to upgrade their wide receiver core. And I mean, dude, Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, that ain't cutting it, bro.
Right.
Like, go get a better tight end too. Drake made an almost win MVP with Austin Hooper, Hunter Henry, Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas, and of course, Stephon Diggs had a good year, not a great year. Right? It's amazing.
Remember, I turned to both you and Phil yesterday, and I said, "We haven't heard Stephon Diggs' name yesterday yet in this game." Then he catches a pass late in the game when they're down. What was it? 29-7 at the time.
Yeah.
He catches a pass, spins the football on the ground, gives the first down sign. Then he realized, oh my goodness, we're down. I got to get the football. But I'm like, that moment.
I think they're out of timeouts.
That moment just encapsulated the ego that is Stephon Diggs. The game was over. What do you? First of all, you need to catch the football, give it to the referee, so you can get back to the line of scrimmage, so you can score in a hurry. What does he do? Spins the football, celebrates himself, gives the first down sign. I'm like, dude, who the hell are you? What is the matter with you? Like, dude, what's going on? Anyway.
All right, so let's get to favorite commercial. Let's get you go first on this one, man. Me and Doc and Phil, we watched me and Doc and Dwight. And so we were kind of taking inventory of the but hit us. What was your favorite commercial?
So this is an interesting one, guys, because this is a big outlier for me, and this is true. In my children's preschool, my twins, where they go, it just so happened the Google Gemini commercial. That was a family that I know, and I only found out a couple of days before the commercial.
We must be in Hollywood or something.
Honestly, like
that's not only in Hollywood.
So it holds close to my heart. Like I know that kid, and my son plays soccer with him, and they're best friends. So it's cool. So to Tony and Tito, if you're ever going to watch this, it was pretty cool seeing you guys on there. Great commercial. So it clearly holds a place in it.
If you take bias out of it, what was the best commercial? But that is a great story. But if you take bias out of it, what was
that's a fair question. The Duncan ones are always something.
Okay,
they're just funny. They just do a really good job with those. I completely agree. I will say, like it just gets you. You're like, all right, I'm watching this. I mean, I kind of want to throw the worst commercial out there too. What was all the verbiage that was thrown out there, and then it was like Coinbase at the end of it, right? Like they thought they were like trying to suck you in, right? And it was just like tight. And it went on for like 45 seconds, and then it's like crypto, and it's like, come on, guys. Where are we with this?
Do you believe in crypto? That's a topic for another day.
Bitcoin just got cut in half.
By the way, we're not going to answer.
No, we're not. But it's literally like this is just nosedive. And I'm not going into that. I'm just saying like that was one of the worst commercials, poorly timed at the time. The Duncan ones are fun, but yeah, place in my heart for Google Gemini. I mean, it was just great seeing that family on there. I love them. They're sweet people. Great kid.
Favorite commercial?
Gotta go with the Budweiser, the eagle, and the horse.
That was a good ad.
Yeah.
Can I be completely honest with that ad? So I'm a crier. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
That means you've been through stuff.
That's what that means. I don't just like cry for no reason, but like stuff hits me, and like I'll be at a concert, right? And a song will come on. And it'll take me back to when I was 25 and it's not like, but you just get moist, right? And maybe a little trickle. And so I'm a crier, all right? So I'm watching that commercial yesterday. And it's dramatic and cool. And you see the little bird and you got the horse looking out for it. I love that animal stuff, right? And then all of a sudden the eagle lifts up off the back of the horse. And that was a cool shot. And I was like, this kind of got me a little bit.
Emotional.
And then they end the ad with the guy's Misty.
The tough guy, right?
Are you crying? Like, dude, are you crying?
I'm not crying.
And he goes, no, there's just something in my eye. And I was like, dude, I'm literally kind of getting misty here. And then they ended the ad that way. I was like, well, freaking. Because they were like, they knew that there'd be homies out in America, so the bald eagle, just Americana, right? And You get a little
all of us
misty,
are crying,
man.
Rick. All of us got
You get a little
Not
misty.
me, not
That
me.
was a great ad.
I thought
Great
it was
call.
good. I thought it
Great
was
call.
good. Yeah.
You know,
What was your favorite commercial?
that for sure was my favorite. But I just want to say it's crazy how far technology has truly come with this whole AI stuff. The Dunkin' commercials, that just tells you where we are. We could make ourselves look 40 years younger. It could bring us back to when we were watching The Fresh Prince, Friends, Cheers, all those guys that were in that commercial. That just brought us, those are some of my favorite shows growing up. So to see all those characters in that commercial and just the way technology has taken over the world, most of it's good, some of it extremely bad, and I mean in a negative connotational way. But it's just nice to see where we've come, how far we have come, and it's going to be crazy as we get older to see what truly happens in the technological world. It's going to be out of sorts and be crazy, just crazy.
Yeah.
So
Just crazy.
I want Congress.
Here we go.
I want U.S. Congress. Are you listening? Of course you're not listening. You're up in your ivory towers doing your political thing. Okay, I am so tired of scrolling through Instagram and I see 50-ton great white shark jump out of the water into the boat and try to attack the fishermen in the boat. And it's like, oh my God, are they good? And then you scroll to the bottom of the paragraph and it says, this was generated by AI for entertainment purposes. Congress, stop that. Put an end to that. Do you know how much time Americans are wasting on these AI bullcrap videos? All right, rant over. The Dunkin' Donuts ad was my favorite ad.
Okay.
And all the things you guys said. But you had Ben Affleck, you had Jennifer Aniston, who, by the way, the punchline when she goes, how about D's nuts? Are you serious right now?
They went right for it, and it worked.
Are you serious? Like, that was so perfect. And Brady with the shaggy 90s hair, and he's her new boyfriend and stuff. It was so good. You had Tom Brady. You had Matt LeBlanc. You had Jason Alexander. You had Alfonso Rivera, Jaleel White, Jasmine Guy. Ted Danson had a really killer cameo where he mocked himself, right? You're still 50, slinging beers at the bar. There's something wrong with you, and that's exactly what he did in Cheers. So I thought it was great. Lastly, the Instacart commercial, which was, I think, in the first quarter, where Ben Stiller went up on the lift and then fell into the drum set. That was funnier than hell. That was very, very funny. All right, are you guys ready to talk a little NBA?
Of course.
You guys, okay.
That's why I'm here.
Right?
You're
Football stuff.
You're NFL stuff's killer, man.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so
This is life.
so about an hour on the NFL. The Super Bowl is over. The draft, way down the line. Guys and girls, it is All-Star Week. Okay, kind of sort of why we're all here in LA. All right, Dwight long flight here, me long flight here. Very, very happy to do it. And by the way, this is just so much fun being
it's awesome.
Absolutely.
So a lot of NBA talk, all right? And on Thursday, we're going to start getting into All-Star. We'll talk about the three-point shootout and all that kind of stuff. Dame Dollar in the three-point contest.
That's nice.
Let's talk tanking. Okay? Me and Doc and Dwight were talking a lot about this yesterday, so let's bring it to the air here. And look, this is the way we have it set up, but you can take it anywhere you want to go. What should Adam Silver do to stop tanking? And you can you change the words however you want. What should Adam Silver do to stop tanking? He's the commissioner of this league. And don't sit out there, well, there's not really much he can. Yes, he's the commissioner of the NBA. There's a ton he can do, okay? All right, so the Wizards were trying to tank with Anthony Davis and Trae Young, right? You trade for Trae. Wow, Trae Young's going to be passing to Keyshawn George and all this stuff. Shut him down. Anthony Davis. Right after they traded, Anthony Davis not expected to play at all this year and stuff. Utah, they're leading Orlando by 17 points, okay, late in the third quarter. They pull the plug, all of their starters except for Ace Bailey. And why did you do Ace Bailey like that, by the way? Like, pull all your starters, okay? So they proceed to lose the game by 3. The whole world knew it was the most obvious tank probably in NBA history. So Wizards general manager Will Dawkins said Sunday he expects Anthony Davis to return to the court this season. Aha! But that timeline will become clearer during the All-Star break. Dawkins' remarks came one day after The Athletic, citing a league source, not a team source, which is super important to note, reported that the Wizards were likely to shut down Davis for the remainder of the season. That never came straight from the Wizards, all right? Keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. Washington acquired Davis. And again, it's a sprained finger on his non-shooting hand. For the love of God, you should be playing right now, Davis. You shouldn't even missed that game. Are you serious, right? Street clothes is what we – a sprained finger on his – Dwight Walton.
Yes, sir.
Would you have even come out of the game for a sprained finger on your non-shooting hand?
Okay. No, first of all, the answer is no. And this is not an old school –
Yeah.
Because I'm the eldest on this, I believe. On the set. Anyways, I did whatever I had to do. As my family and my close friends know, I took cortisone shots. If I had to play a regular season game the next night or 2 nights later, I was getting a cortisone shot somewhere on my body. I didn't care.
To prep for that 2 days later.
Just to play in the game. I did what it took. I'll go through my surgeries again. I've had 5 knee surgeries, both hips replaced. Shoulder separation, a broken jaw, elbow surgery, all 4 of my wisdom teeth taken out. I had a tooth extracted 6 months ago on this side. You know what? Out of all the surgeries I've had, that was the most pain. That tooth, oh my God.
Wow.
Anyway, that was something else. But listen, my track record says I will play through any injury. If I can get on the basketball court, I'm going to do that. So I understand in this era, any little injury puts players on the sideline. We're in the era of load management, all that kind of stuff. But my mentality, Rick, to your question, was to do whatever it took to get on the basketball court so I could not miss a game. If I missed a game, people knew I was truly hurt. Because I was, again, my mentality, do whatever it takes within the legal ramifications of the sport
of course.
To get back on the court. That was my mentality as a player.
If Dwight was out, the locker room was like, damn, the horse is down tonight, man. Mm-hmm. We got to do this without that horse in the Clydesdale in the Budweiser rat. One more thing, Doc, I'm going to go to you first here. A little sub question here. Why is the door now open for Anthony Davis and Trae Young to play together this season, when all signs and reports and vibes pointed to neither of them playing, Washington tanking to get a better draft pick and then come out fighting next year? Okay, why the pivot? Okay, did Adam Silver call Wizards owner Ted Leonsis and threaten or nudge or influence or insist that the Wizards play their top players down the stretch? Okay, just want to dose the water with that a little bit, because I believe Adam did make a call. I said league source, team source. A league source could be a team source.
Yeah.
Could fall into that umbrella, or it could not. But the bottom line is Adam saw that, was pissed, and now immediately we have a change. I think it's not just coincidence, and the Wizards came to their senses. I literally think Adam Silver called these jokers and was like, no, you can't rock this way. What should Adam Silver do about tanking?
I got it. Let me get that camera, guys. So, Adam, here's the term: breach of competitive balance. Okay? Me and Rick were fleshing out this term.
Let's go.
It has to be breach of competitive balance. That's what has to happen here. If there's a blatant breach of competitive balance, you get a flag. You get a red flag, okay? After the second one, you actually have to take away what exactly is the object of their desire, which is a draft pick, right? So you got to take that draft pick away. And I would say after 2 blatant breach of competitive balance, then you're gonna have to take that draft pick away. But it should be treated like gambling. The same way the gambling thing, they're always like, oh, they're under investigation, and everybody knows, a player did some odd things during a game, and all of a sudden they're under investigation.
Right. Good point.
So let it be out there so people know that the lights are on them, and then all the roaches start scattering, and that's exactly what needs to happen. You got to put the light on them, and you can't have a blatant breach of competitive balance here, and that's what I think happened with that Jazz versus Orlando matchup. You have 2 teams that have really good talent. Jazz are up. You have Jaren Jackson Jr. playing well with the new offense, Markkanen. I mean, look at that front line.
Jackson had 20 points.
Yeah, and then you sit them down. They're all having a good time. No one's mad that they're losing. No one has a game face on. Everybody's just having a good old time, just hanging out on the bench, watching their team just tank. And their expression just says that they're not taking it serious. It's all about the shiny prize at the end. And so you got to take that shiny prize away. That's how you have to treat your kids. And not that I have any, but that's what you got to do.
You're right, though.
Yeah, you got to take away the object of desire. Yeah, and so that's what you got to do. I would say after 2 flags of blatant breach of competitive balance, that's it. Your draft pick is gone. Period in the story.
And right now, the most effective ways of parenting are taking the phone away or saying no more video games, okay? And then you will get an adjustment in behavior, okay, almost immediately. A.M. Pfeffer, a father, you know these things to be true. What should Adam Silver do to stop tanking? What would you do to stop tanking?
Okay, let's unpack this, gentlemen. And I'm going to bring it back to what Doc said, and I want to address that. But we got to start with this. We got to start with the CBA. I'm probably one of the few people who actually like where this has ended up.
Did you actually read the entire CBA?
I have not read it. but the more I get into what ultimately transpired a few years ago and where we've ended up with the league, the more intrigued I am by it. I am so fascinated by the aprons. I'm so fascinated by a lot of the rules, and I'm fascinated the reasons for it, okay? I'm fascinated by the parity. I'm fascinated by the idea that we have all given over to the fact that the billionaires own the teams. But you don't get to be a billionaire's billionaire. You don't get to be Ballmer or Lacob and just start spending money wildly and not care about the tax. Mikal Bridges should never have been traded for 5 first-round picks. What are we
You're not wrong.
Right? Like, this is insane. 1 and maybe a second-round pick and a player to be named later. Like, where we had gotten to was so over the threshold. You have to reel all this back. Draft picks matter. They have to matter. The teams have to go through the draft. But it stops with the negative. It stops with the pejorative. It's not going to work to penalize. I love what the concept is. I love where you're coming from this. It would never work because you're always innocent until proven guilty. There's always an excuse for Utah why they sat Markkanen in Triple J, and good luck proving that, number 1. Number 2 is you're hurting your brand if you're doing too many red flags, right? The fans get upset. The players get upset. It's not going to – nobody wants to see that where Adam Silver has to step in and penalize. Instead, you have to incentivize. There's something to be said about the bottom 14 teams when you get to the lottery. What happens and I don't know the answer to this just yet. This is where we should put our collective heads together. But something happens in March and April where those teams have to continue playing for a better chance to get the top 5 picks. Dwight's looking at me, and I don't know.
Because keep going.
Yeah, but I don't.
Keep going.
This is about where it stops because we all have to put our collective heads together as to like what that really looks like. A tournament after the fact, a 1-game play-in where like all these guys, the bottom teams have to play for like the better chance. Some other percentage-wise that isn't a cold ice envelope for your chance to win, or Dallas Mavericks getting that pick on 1.8% and getting Cooper Flagg down there. You've got to take all this away and just make it simple. But I'm telling you, the groundwork has been laid. The CBA is the right answer. This is where it's going in the right direction. The picks are coming back, and they will matter moving forward. You've got to make it matter for that lottery team, for those lottery teams.
So to want to extend your point, and I didn't fact check the person who said it on one, because I'm on social media a lot, and I saw a comment that would sort of stop this tanking. Have the team with the best, worst record automatically get the number 1 pick, which means you have to win your games up to the end of the season, if that makes sense. Right. I'm not saying that to eliminate the lottery altogether, but the bottom teams, if you want that number 1 pick, you got to keep on winning, right? You may not make the playoffs or the play-in, but you got to keep on winning, which means you got to play your players, right? Now, listen, I'm invested emotionally in the Washington Wizards because of my godson, Keyshawn George, but based on my viewing of watching all the games, being in D.C. last week before coming out here to L.A., and I'm not saying that they're purposely doing it, but I'm watching the Washington Wizards not play their main players. I'm watching it. I was at the Kings-Wizards game last Sunday, watching both teams try to lose while I'm there.
Gross.
It is open season for tanking. What was so ironic about that fourth quarter in the Kings-Wizards game was the Wizards played their go-go G League team against a roster of DeMar DeRozan, who had 32 points, Zach LaVine, who had 33, Malik Monk, who was having a good game off the bench. They were all in the game in the fourth quarter and still lost to the Washington Wizards, right?
Crazy.
So I'm watching, I turned to Keyshawn's father, Dion, and I'm like, dude, what are we watching here? We're watching both teams literally try to lose. So to that comment, that person who made that comment, I sort of agree with that. Have the bottom teams, if you want that number one pick, you take the number one pick out of the lottery. The worst team with the best record, they're incentivized to keep on winning if you want to get the number one pick. And we all know who, in our opinion, should be the number one pick this year. It's AJ DeBance, as far as I'm concerned. No shade against Darren Peterson and all the other, Caleb Wilson, all the other top 5 players that are out there. Nathan Ament, which I think is my cousin's favorite player coming out of this year's draft besides DeBance. There's a plethora of players at the top of this draft that all these bad teams want. We understand that. But if you want to incentivize these teams to get that number one prized pick, they got to keep on winning. And the team with the best worst record gets the number one pick.
I want to add something to this because I just thought of something that could be considered the penalty that might be acceptable for everybody. The top 3 picks should be extra money on the salary cap for the top 3 picks. It's like an extra 40% for the number one pick, 25 for the second pick, and 15 for the third pick. Watch how fast the owners on that
100%.
start to come back around and be like, maybe we got to think. If you really want that pick, you know what I'm saying, and you got to pay for it, that becomes a whole different ballgame, especially with the aprons now. Again, you're capped. You can't be Lacob. You can't be Bomber just being like, forget it, I'll pay for it. No, now they're really thinking about it because it matters moving forward. And you combine the incentive with that type of penalty, which doesn't put Adam Silver in a bad position. Money is thrown into it. You're not finding them, but you're just adding that extra layer to it. Something to think about, especially like you might say this year in 2026, worth it. 2027, who's coming out then? Not the same guys. Everybody's trying to avoid the first, second, and third pick because that's kind of a penalty. It's like, yeah, we need those players, but at the same time, we're avoiding it. We're all playing the game. We're all playing the game.
I like it, but I also feel like you have to penalize them so they do a better job of disguising their tanking. Like you have to consider the fan here. You can't have like you paid a ticket,
but you're admitting it. If you're no, that's fine. If you're proving to them like you did it, you tanked. You're admitting to your fans that tanking is happening. We're all talking about it,
well,
but nobody is open. But like we know it, but nobody's openly admitting it.
Mark Cuban for sitting Luka and Kyrie got fined. It's an obvious thing, so we don't mind talking about it. My whole thing is you have to be less obvious, and you also have to respect the fans. So you can still lose a game. Like there's ways to lose a game. Yeah, if you want Jaren Jackson Jr. to do a bad job and then potentially be investigated by shooting nothing but air balls in the fourth quarter, but he needs to be out there if he can play. It's just obvious. You have a G League team playing the starters of the second. That's just too obvious. Like put a mixture of them, put a fake injury, a calf strain, whatever. Do that, but you can't just have them sitting down having a good old time eating popcorn.
By the way, that was a damaging win for the Wizards, who are 4th right now in the lottery standings. Yeah. The Sacramento Kings are 1st in the lottery standings right now. Just saying. So, and again, all the negative talk I just said, trust me, there's a buzz back in the DMV about this Wizards franchise going forward because they're extremely happy with Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson, Bilal Coulibaly, Bub Carrington, Will Riley. They have a young core of players that are going to be excellent going forward in the Wizards organization. Then you add Trae Young and Anthony Davis to this mix. And again, the reason why I bring up the buzz in the DMV is because
I think the fans won't mind if Will Dawkins and the Wizards front office and ownership don't play Trae Young and Anthony Davis for the rest of the season, because that means they're going to have a chance at Darren Peterson. They're going to have a chance at A.J. DeBansa. They're going to have a chance at Nathan Amman. All these players. So imagine you get one of those high draft picks, and then you add it to that young core and Trae Young and Anthony Davis. Basketball is immediately back in the DMV area.
Oh, it's already back. You got Alex Sarr and Anthony Davis on the front line.
That's what I'm talking about. So you have a possible starting five of Trae Young, Trey Johnson, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, Anthony Davis. Now, the big if is the injury factor for both Young and especially Anthony Davis, who we've seen more in street clothes than we have on the court over the last 18 months. But again, because Washington is a top-tier free agent destination for players currently, I don't blame what the Wizards did. The Wizards basically got a salary dump in Trae Young, and they got an injury-prone 32-year-old top 75 player in Anthony Davis. If he's on the court and you pair him with Sarr, they got a chance. So I don't blame them for what they did. And again, I'm curious to see. I know Dawkins put out that statement yesterday, but I'll be very surprised, fellas, if both Trae Young and Anthony Davis play again this season. They may tease us with Trae Young in a couple of games, but to play like the rest of the season, I can't see it because they're trying to position themselves. They need to finish in the bottom 8 to get that pick. If it's 9-14, the New York Knicks get that pick. So it's to their benefit to continue to lose so they can put themselves in the position to get that pick. And so don't be surprised if Trae Young nor Anthony Davis do not play the rest of the season.
Washington's already getting kind of cute with this. All right, let me go back to the ESPN article. Trae Young has been out with a sprained knee and will also be reassessed during the All-Star break. What does reassessed mean? Well, you already know. Anthony Davis, the timeline will become clearer during the All-Star. They're playing the long game here. Very, very obvious what they're doing. Dwight might not be wrong. I know Adam Silver wants all these cats to play, and it's for the fan, Doc. All right, here's my answer. What should Adam Silver do to stop tanking? The only way to affect change and really reach people is to hit them where they live, okay? Hit them and punish them where it hurts them the most. Like I talked about, taking your phone away from your 13-year-old teenage girl. That's not going to go well. You're going to get a different teenage girl if that's the scenario. You guys get it out there. Okay, fines won't work. Owners laugh as they stroke that hefty check, but still get the player that they tank for. Guys, let's go back to whatever year it was. Doc talked about it. Dallas rests Luka and Kyrie, and it was a huge and very successful tank. They got to 10. They got Derek Lively. So they were fined $750,000 for that, which, of course, Mark Cuban, the owner at the time, how much have I paid Adam Silver and David Stern over the years? It's another $750,000. Trust me, he was laughing about that, okay? We got there. I mean, this guy's funneling millions to Indiana football, all right? He's not worried about $750,000, all right? I would be, but he's not. The only way to curb or eliminate tanking is to take away draft picks, all right? The league wanted to change the CBA. It's extremely harsh. AM loves it. But it's extremely harsh, making it hard for even mid-level players to get paid. But the intention was to hit big market teams where they live, okay, which is the ability to freely spend and go crazy nuts. And like I call it the Joe Lacob rule, all right? Obviously, great drafting, great player picking and developing and all that kind of stuff. But you had Durant and Curry and Clay and Draymond. I mean, all basically max level guys. How did you make that work? Because the CBA was completely different. And you could pay luxury tax, which was distributed to every other team in the league. So if you had a tax bill of $100 million, you pay out that $100 million to the non-tax paying teams. And you just divide it all up. Joe Lacob was like, cool. So I'm being charitable. I'm literally helping every other owner in the NBA right now, getting an $8 million check for doing nothing. except keeping their books below. And Joe Lacob's like, yeah, but I had the parade. I had a drunk Draymond talking with Rose Gold on Woo Day, right? About, all that kind of stuff, all right? But he got the rings. He's got 4 of them bad boys, okay? It's called the Joe Lacob rule. But guess what, guys? It worked, okay? Because now all of the teams are, I can't think of one right now that's being wild and rogue and spending money and going into the second half. We're like, we'll show you guys that we can do this while all of you other suckers nobody's doing it, okay? So they put in an extremely harsh CBA, and it's working. I don't really like it. I like the ability to spend like crazy and go win championships, but the small market teams whined to Adam Silver, and it worked. Okay, and there were more whiners from small market teams than there were Joe Lacob saying, hey, no, we're not changing anything here. Okay, so Joe Lacob and those guys lost. You think of the Allen family back in the day. There's wild spending in the NBA. You have been able to win championships by spending. You can't do that anymore. Now, you got to do it with your brain, all right? The league needs to tell all 30 teams that their draft spot, and this goes to the incentivization you're talking about, they need to tell everybody your draft spot is fluid. Your draft spot can move up or down depending on how many tanking points you accumulate, okay? Hear me out. Kind of like the technical point threshold where you 16 technical fouls, and then that when you get to 16, you're automatically suspended for the next game. So it's a little bit like that, but different. But you accumulate tanking points. Okay, how do you accumulate tanking points? Who determines that? It would not be Rick Kamla or Dwight Walton, okay? Although I think we would do a very good job of it. And I said this on NBA radio a few years back, and Antonio Daniels was like, you listen a lot. Cam, what are we doing here? Cam, what you and these ideas, right? And so, my idea is the Load Management Police Department, okay? It's called the LMPD. Not NYPD, the LMPD, okay? So to police and enforce these new rules, all right? So you're tanking, you're resting, your DNP practices, guys not playing in the second of back-to-backs, right? All that stuff will be monitored and audited like the IRS, okay? So this would be a huge undertaking by the league. It would cost millions. You'd have to literally create an entire wing of your organization. But guess what, guys? I think it would work because Adam Silver said this. Are y'all listening?
Yeah.
Adam Silver said this. There is no statistical data that proves that load management helps to keep players on the court. He said that in a press conference, okay? And so I think load management is a theory and a cracked theory, okay? I think it's part of the wussification of America. Yeah. I also think it's there's a whole, a lot of people live in fear. Okay, they just walk around and they live in fear. They're worried about getting smacked by a bus, okay, before they walk across the street. They get in their car and the people just worry and they live in fear, okay, and it sucks. I welcome all of you to leave that behind and drop those bags. You don't need to do that. God's got you, okay? So, but people live in fear. So it's the wussification of America plus the living in fear factor. Oh, we got less is more. We got to take these guys off the court. Oh, my God. He's played 4 games in 6 nights. He might die. Oh, my God. He might break in 2. It's unbelievable, okay? And so you guys may be thinking that I'm cracked and this is so wild and crazy. But I want to take you back to a rule that I created.
Okay. Like that.
This rule was actually ratified by the league, all right?
Oh, nice.
The 65-game rule that is now in place, okay? You got to play at least 65 games to be All-NBA and win all these awards, right? 4 years ago, whatever it was, on NBA radio, me and Antonio Daniels we're filling out our All-Star teams, and I'm like, I got a bunch of, the number one factor for me, I didn't have points per game or assists or even win-loss record. It was how many games have you played, okay? Because I don't want to honor a guy that's played 33 games at the All-Star break versus a guy that's played 51 games at the All-Star break. Right? The 51 guy is always going to get the nod over me. So it was starting to drive me crazy. And then you do All NBA at the end of the year, and you're like, I got guys on my All-NBA team. They played 55 games, 61 games, 49 games. I'm just putting them there because it's, LeBron or Durant or whoever it is, or Curry or something, right? They have to be All-NBA. No, they don't. Okay, this just boiled up in me, and I'm like, AD, we got to create a threshold. There's got to be a minimum number of games played, and I didn't flesh it all the way out to MVP and stuff. It was just, I think it was more like All NBA, but it was like we have to set up a threshold here and give them a target zone, okay? And so we did it 1 year, maybe revisited 6 months later, maybe revisited it a year later. I don't know. Did Adam Silver hear it? Did it impact him? I can't prove that. I can't validate that. But I tell you one thing that I know about Adam Silver. He is whisking around Manhattan in beautiful either town cars or SUVs.
And he's listening.
He might even have his own driver. Okay, and what does he have on the radio when he's driving around Manhattan, waiting in traffic for 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Dr. X, NBA radio on Sirius XM. All right, so that's all I had to say. But we all basically agree there has to be a drastic radical change of the system that's going on right now because teams are awesome at exploiting it. Mm-hmm. And all they have to do, Doc, is play the medical card.
Yeah.
And it just
do a better job.
Shuts everybody down.
But it's crazy. All the teams, they're not even trying to hide it. Like
that's my biggest issue. Like we know that there are inferior teams. And no matter how many minutes they play, they may just still lose. They're just inferior compared to another team that they're playing that night. Just do a better job so that you're not insulting the fans' intelligence. Mm-hmm. That's it.
But that's why, and again, all of us, I think, have great ideas as to how to squash this thing.
I say combine them.
But again, yes,
you have something there.
But to me, if you eliminate the number one pick of the lottery, out of the lottery, the team with the worst record, which means you have to keep on winning. If you want AJ DeBanza, if you want Darren Peterson that badly, keep on winning. Play your players, play your injured players, whatever players you acquire at the trade deadline, you're incentivized to play these guys if you want to add even more talent to your roster. Keep winning. That, to me, is the best way of squashing all this. Because, again, as a basketball fan, they are insulting our intelligence. It's mind-boggling how they think they can get away with this stuff.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying. I think it's bad.
Well,
something needs to be done.
A lot of fan bases, too, they're going to get pissed off if you win games late in the year. Like, fans have become kind of savvy, and they understand,
like the Wizards.
Yeah, they're like, wow, this is kind of a five-man draft. We got to get in the bottom five. So if their team is tanking, a lot of fans actually like that, and they go with the games are unwatchable and all that kind of stuff, but they want their team to win. I mean, heck, I'm in dynasty football leagues. I'm in dynasty basketball leagues, and, I win championships and stuff, but the second I realize I tank. The second I realize, my guys are aging out a little bit, I tank, and I take like a year off and trade guys off, get traded. So I do that in my leagues, okay? So just lastly here, I want to go with what AM was saying. I got another creative thought here. Dude, we love the play-in tournament, right? You guys love the play-in tournament?
I think absolutely.
Yep. Okay, I love the play-in tournament. Mm-hmm. And the NBA wants more options for entertainment. They're always looking for ways to spice up their league, make it more entertaining and attractive. Okay, so how about this? Basically, the whole week takes off except the 8 play-in tournament teams, Monday through Friday in advance of the playoffs after the regular season. What if we do this? The bottom 8 teams, okay? So we have a play-in tournament, and we have simultaneously a draft tournament.
Call it a tanking tournament.
The anti-tanking tournament. But you don't do the 10 teams below the line, right? You do 8 because then you can set up a nice little structure. Yep. So if you're in the bottom 8,
I like it.
Now you're in this draft tournament, and you have to win this tournament. You have to be 1 out of 8 to get the first overall pick. And if you finish, 8th in the tournament, then you get the 8th pick. And it all slots like that. But what do you guys think of that?
That might be more exciting than the actual playoffs.
I like it, but it's still unfair. I think, yes, the winner should get the number 1 pick. But after that, you got to snake it. You got to sneak it because unless
you also have to sell the players on the team. Hey, you guys, we're playing for the number 1 pick, and all the guys who are already on the team who's like, the guy who's going to take my job. That's but I love it.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
So that's where.
Man, I tried to help you get a first over on that. And it's so wing, right? And he knows the team's going to take that advance. He's like, I'm taking it out here. He's like, DraftKings is going to be, or the guys are going to be investigating me for the under bet. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So that's to the point, because of scheduling, which could be difficult, and to your point, I just think you incentivize the team with the best worst record gets the number 1 pick. Your idea is fantastic. I think it'd be great.
It's more ball.
I think it would. It's more basketball. It will be intriguing television. I would watch every second of it. But in terms of the scheduling, I just think if you tell the teams before the season, listen, we know that all the teams aren't going to be very good, but you have to win if you want that number 1 pick. If you want the number 1 pick, who's the best or the worst teams right now?
Got it. Round the robin.
Okay.
The last 3 teams.
But who's the best of the worst
teams? Do for All-Star?
Is it the Portland Trailblazers? Like who is it? Who's the best of the worst teams right now?
I think the Jazz now.
No.
Yeah.
The Jazz and the Kings aren't very good.
Unless you're counting the Hornets.
You're right. It's the Trailblazers.
It's
They're
the
right on
Trailblazers,
that cusp at 10.
Good point.
So imagine they get the number 1 pick instead of the Kings or the Wizards.
That's how it should be.
That's how it should be.
But look, there's one more thing to punctuate on all of this. And I think, Rick, you just brought up the best possible point, and anybody listening should understand. You actually talked about being the owner of the fantasy teams, right? Well, just think about the owner of these teams and what we've been talking about and what the CBA really effectively does, the Lacob rule, the Bomber rule, whatever we want to say. You talk about player empowerment. Guys, this has been the age of owner empowerment. That's really the truth. Too much was given to pay.
They kind of yanked it back a little bit.
And that's exactly what needed to happen. Guys, the billionaires. You know what I'm saying? We are so far removed from how these guys operate. This needs to be about the GMs. The GMs have a job for a reason. Give them back the power.
Agreed.
You mentioned that this is a mental game. They got to be smarter. They got to be playing not only 3-dimensional chess, 12-dimensional chess at this point.
Yes.
They've got to understand what it takes to appease your owner, to appease your players. Like, that's the job, man. That's the whole point. I don't want to hear about the owners anymore. I don't hear that much about the owners in the NFL. You hear about them, but they're not like it. Besides Jerry Jones, you know, they're really, you know, or every once in a while throughout the year, you're hearing a reason for them, or a Robert Kraft because of where he went down in Florida and maybe did something in the extracurricular activities. But like, there's a totally different cap that goes on in the NFL. You're hearing way too much for way too long in the NBA about these guys. I don't even want to know about them. I want to hear about the GMs, the moves they're making. That's how this should play out.
Like Dwight's guy, Will Dawkins out there with the Wizards. Guys, we're Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Hi. I know we're looking good today, man. Looking clean around here. See what I'm saying? All right. One last topic, guys, and then we'll do our rant, and we'll call it a show. Dr. X, are you ready to talk about your Knicks?
Of course.
Because
always.
I have.
Okay, hold on. Before you continue, Rick, why do you have to appease my cousin by bringing up the New York Knicks?
That's a side piece, man. The Knicks are a side piece.
Yeah,
it's your side piece too.
No,
he hates the Knicks.
I don't hate the Knicks.
He just doesn't want the side piece.
I just love ribbing.
I take it back.
By the way, not everybody loves their side pieces.
I love ribbing my cousin. But the thing is, just because it's his show, why do we have to talk about the New York Knicks? Like,
because they just got drilled by Detroit by 38 points.
Yeah, but then they beat Boston yesterday.
Okay.
So why are we talking about that?
So let me give you the setup.
All right, here we go.
So let me give you the setup. And Dr. X knows all of this, okay? But I mean, seriously, beyond like if you were a Lakers fan, we'd still be talking about this because we got Knicks and Pistons top of the East kind of thing. All right. So all kidding aside, so the Knicks won 8 games in a row, rolling, garden on fire, okay? And then you get up against the Pistons, and sorry to bring it up, but you lose by 38 points, okay? The thing went viral of Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges like, that look on their face like, I'm out of options here, bro. So, all right, the question is, are the Pistons a bad matchup for the Knicks? They've played twice. Detroit beat them by 31. and 38. They have 2 wins against the Knicks by 69 points. Okay? They don't have 2 wins against the Knicks by 9 points. It's 69 points. We have to talk about this. All right? So, Dr. X, you first. Are the Pistons a bad matchup for the Knicks?
On paper, I know that we can beat them, and I know based on what the Knicks did last year. Just think of the Celtics. The Celtics blew us out game 1. It was embarrassing, right? And then they blew us out again, right? And then next thing you know, we face them in the playoffs. No one thinks we have a chance. But this is the Celtics, right? I'm not scared of Detroit. We beat them last year, and on paper, they're missing a lot of key pieces. Malik Beasley is gone. The people that they just replaced is Adam Herter. He's not a dog. He could play. Like, you're not going to leave him open. Mm-hmm. It's really their bench that's playing with a chip on their shoulder and is out playing our bench. I like the addition of Jose Alvarado. I think automatically he gives us that edge. And then truth be told, I hate to make excuses, but that game that we just got blown out most recently, there was no OG Anunoby. There's no Karl-Anthony Towns. And then on top of that, we have.
They were missing dudes too, but your point is taken.
Yeah, I mean, we're missing our biggest defensive dog who doesn't bark, which is OG Anunoby, right? But we have Jose Alvarado. He's a dog that barks, but also gets those steals and stuff. So I just think overall, we will also learn from this. We have footage, we have tape, we know what they do, and when it comes down to the playoffs, now you're saying, okay, who is their starting five? Tobias Harris. We've seen him flop many times in playoff matchups, right? So if we're going to fault James Harden for not showing up in playoff matchups, okay, let's look at the history. So Jalen Duren is third-year player now. Yep. He's young. We beat him last year, ready in their head. We have more experience on the front line, which we can get to this guy. We can game plan around him. Then you have Cade Cunningham. He hasn't gotten out of the first round yet. He's still new. And then who's Duncan Robinson? He's been exposed several times. Who else? Herter. Who's the other?
They brought in Herter for Jaden Ivey.
Isaiah Stewart was hurt by the time
Jenkins. They have a decent squad.
Well, Dennis Jenkins is the only one that I feel like has been consistent.
Karis LeVert is on their team as well.
Well, Karis LeVert's always injured.
That's
so
true.
I'm not worried.
True.
He's not a defensive dog.
No, he's not.
And we also herbed him against when he was playing with Cleveland, if you even played that series. So all in all, I'm not worried about. I'm still not worried about Detroit. I look at their team individually and collectively, and I say that I look at our team that way and our experience and what we did to the Celtics. I'm not fazed at all.
Is there a team in the East that does worry you as a Knicks fan?
None of the teams worry me. Honestly,
what if Tatum comes back?
Tatum, well, you're dealing with the Tatum that we beat last year, leading up to that, and on top of that, he's playing mental games with the injury, which I know is a big hurdle for a lot of players coming back. So, and then we also have showed them what we can do with what they currently have, and then they added Nikola Vucevic, who I've seen play when he was at Chicago. Karl-Anthony Towns. He always speeds right by him with that same move. He doesn't have the foot speed to keep up with Cat.
It's a difference. Anyways, go ahead.
No, he's still doing it. I mean, so he's not a defensive center. So Kata is good, but he's not proven. You know what I mean? So I just feel like a lot of the teams that I would say the team that potentially could be a problem for us next year is the Indiana Pacers with Zubac. So you have.
But right now you're already in the finals. You got 12 wins in the back pocket, and we're already seeing you in June.
I'm not underestimating the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the reason why is that we have to give James Harden his respect. A lot of times when he doesn't show up, it's because he's not playing against. He's the number one guy, right? I know that Philly series, he wasn't the number one guy. I mean, and he kind of messed up. He had one good game in the Boston arena.
Didn't he have 2 40s, but then 5, 6, and 7?
Yes. But in his defense, his number one guy didn't show up. I think one of those games, Joel Embiid was kind of whack.
Joel Embiid has no shows in big games.
Yeah, so now you have someone like Donovan Mitchell. We've seen this guy do 40 points in the bubble, 40 points outside the bubble, and continues to impress. Even when his whole team was decimated last year, he still found a way to win on some of these games. So now you have that. And I think Harden is going to make Evan Mobley better and Jared Allen better.
He made Zubac better.
Yeah. So I think that's a team you can't count out. And with the buyout market, you don't know who that extra player, even if a Max Strus comes back. So that's a team I would say we can't sleep on is Cleveland.
A.M. Pfeffer, do the Pistons
and this is a Knicks fan here. I'm waiting for
he's a Knicks fan. Are the Pistons a bad matchup for your Knicks?
TBD. I'm not honestly.
Fair.
I don't have
that's
a big
fair.
enough sample size out of the 2 games and the fact that the Knicks were missing some big key players. Like, it's easy to look at the West and be like, "Yo, OKC's in trouble with San Antonio at this point."
They
right?
really
Like,
are.
my money's still on OKC. I think by the end of the season, they're going to be healthy, and if you're putting those 2 teams healthy to each other, I still go with OKC. But it's clear that their toughest matchup is the San Antonio Spurs. I'm not saying that the New York Knicks' toughest matchup is Detroit yet. I agree with Doc. There's a lot more going on in the East, and I still think the Knicks are the big dogs of the East. They're still a top 3 team. They really have it. I mean, to go on an 8-game win streak again like they have, let's see where they land. I mean, I don't want to see them fall out, and then, they're on a roller coaster ride this year, right? Let's see them not lose 4 in a row after this and all of this. But look, Detroit's a great team. They're back. They're kings of the East themselves right now, but they're kings of the East right now on February 9th. Talk to me on March 15th. I want to see these teams play each other a couple more times before I have this answer. I'm not worried. I'm with Doc. I'm not yet worried.
I hear a maybe in there a little bit, though. He didn't
100%.
definitively say that it wasn't a bad
he said
matchup.
TBD.
But you're saying is it
TBD.
you're right. Yeah, you're right. I absolutely. I'm TBD. It very well could be a bad matchup for the Knicks. There's a lot to. If you're a Detroit fan, there's a lot to like. There really is. Cade is a top MVP candidate. Jalen Duren is a monster, and he's clearly on the list as for most improved player. He's a top 4 guy who's doing that, and they do have the components and the coaching and the culture and the wherewithal to be this incredible team that it's their turn. So absolutely, but at the moment, TBD.
Are the Pistons a bad matchup for the Knicks?
Let me preface my answer by saying being a bad matchup doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose to that team. To answer your question, the Pistons are absolutely a bad matchup for the New York Knicks. The Orlando Magic are also a bad matchup for the New York Knicks. What have I said all season to you, Cuz, and to the rest of these guys on the panel here? I don't know as much as Mitchell Robinson is one of the premier offensive rebounders that we have in the NBA, I don't view the Knicks as overtly being a physical team.
I agree.
The Detroit Pistons and the Orlando Magic, they bring the wood to the game. They are going to make you feel them throughout the game. They are trying to exhaust you on every possession. Their goal is to exhaust you over the entirety of a series by just going at you all the time and time again. I don't know if Karl Anthony Towns is willing to take that for an entire series. I see a lot of whining, a lot of complaining. He ends up on the ground a lot. Jalen Brunson ends up on the ground a lot. Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, for as great as they are in the Eastern Conference and the scope of the NBA overall, they are 2 of the worst defenders, and it's statistically factual information that teams go at them defensively, especially over the course of a series. Yes, ultimately the Knicks have ended up winning series over the last couple of years, but I can tell you right now, cuz NAM, the Pistons aren't afraid of the New York Knicks.
Mm-mm.
The Pistons, they will tell you, yes, it was a 5-game series last year or 6, whatever it was. Those were 5 of the more competitive games in the playoffs overall. And the Pistons are going to use those games as an experience going into the season. They firmly believe to a man, including the head coach, that they're better than the New York Knicks right now. They have the best record in the Eastern Conference, so they could lay claim to that right now. If they have home court in the playoffs over the Knicks, I think the Pistons should be the favorites in that series. Bump the experience, bump who isn't playing, Halliburton, Damian Lillard, whoever is not there. The Boston Celtics, to me, can scare the New York Knicks as well. The Vucevic acquisition, he ain't playing for Chicago now. He's playing for Boston. That's a huge difference. Talking about Karl Anthony Towns, taking him off the dribble, that's fine. That was against Chicago. It's now Boston. It's a different animal. To answer your question, it's a bad matchup. The Knicks can still beat the Pistons, but it's a bad matchup because of the physicality that Detroit is going to bring over the course of the series. I want to see the Knicks prove to me that they can stand toe-to-toe over the course of a series and withstand all of that pressure that's going to be brought by the Pistons.
So we have 4 different answers here, but I'm with Dwight. I think the Pistons are a bad matchup for the New York Knicks, and I am ready. And to your point, I'm not saying I don't know who would win a playoff series between these teams yet. We've got
I know.
We've got 40% of the regular season left or whatever it is. They're going to play again. What if the Knicks beat them by 30? Okay. So, but as it stands right now, the day after the Super Bowl, Detroit's a bad matchup for the Knicks until proven otherwise. And here's why. Karl Anthony Towns versus Jalen Duren, okay, is a mismatch in favor of the Detroit Pistons. Jalen Duren, put the picture back up of him for just a minute here, please. Jalen Duren, if you could. I want y'all to look at
That's a big, strong
Look at that guy. Cat is like, dude, Cat doesn't. He doesn't.
You mean Poe?
Karl Anthony, Cat doesn't even go out to eat the night before a Jalen Duren game. He just stays in the hotel. I got to get as much rest as possible. Okay, he's too strong and badass for the finesse Karl Anthony Towns. Okay, I didn't call him soft. I said he's finessey.
Call him soft, Rick. Go ahead.
I did. He's finessey. Okay. I mean, look at the guns. Jalen Duren's like, I take you to the gun show, homie. All right. So Jalen, think about this, guys. This is huge. Jalen Brunson doesn't have any advantages against Cade Cunningham, okay? Brunson almost always wins his head-to-head matchup. So, and the Knicks have to have him win that head-to-head matchup, okay? So if Cade Cunningham is canceling out Jalen Brunson, that's a huge problem for the New York Knicks. Cade's a better passer, better rebounder, better defender. Is he a better scorer? No. Is he a better clutch scorer? No. But he might be a better overall player than Jalen Brunson. And you guys know I love Jalen Brunson. All right. The Pistons, the Knicks have dogs, okay? They do, especially now with Jose. You got Josh Hart. OG's a dog. Like you said, he's not vocal, but he is a dog. Mikel's not a dog. Cat's not a dog. Brunson's a dog. But my point is the Knicks have dogs, okay? But not as many as the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons have waves of dogs. The Pistons lead the NBA in dogs, and he's nodding his head. You guys know I'm just.
Paul Reed is tough too.
He's a dog too. Yeah. I can't talk enough about the dog factor. And so the Pistons are deeper than the New York Knicks. The Pistons are a way better defensive team than the New York Knicks. They're number 2 in defensive rating. The Knicks, I looked at this about a month ago, Doc, it was 18. Now it's 12. All right, so the Knicks are really right. I bet you they've been a top 5, 6, 7 defense over like the last month, but the whole body of work, right? Okay, Detroit's number 2, and they've been number 2 all year long. Okay, and lastly, Oscar Thompson is one of the longest, best, most versatile wing defenders that we have in the NBA, and Jalen Brunson is going to have him up as you know what for 7 games. Okay, so that's another thing. Like, and obviously Cade can guard Brunson. He's longer, more athletic, better lateral movement. So, but that's what I got. Like, again, I'm not saying. Again, yeah, I'm not a Knicks fan. Okay, my prediction right now, guys, the Knicks are going to win the East and go to the NBA Finals. We got a long way to go, but saying that. I don't want to contradict myself here. My problem with picking Detroit to beat New York. Okay, first of all, I got to see the rest of the regular season matchups. Detroit has they haven't made they've made one run, one playoff, one round. You got beat, and the Knicks have all of this playoff experience, and that might be like that mitigating factor. Yeah, Detroit has these advantages, and these are static right here, by the way. Right, Cat versus Duren. I'm going to be saying the same thing in May. In Cade versus, I'm going to be saying the same thing in May. But I think maybe the cancel out factor is experience, which sometimes I would say usually is a big deal in the NBA playoffs. Occasionally, the younger team beats the older team, but it usually doesn't go that way. Do you know what I'm saying? So maybe that's literally how the Knicks win.
I just feel like our starting five is better than the Detroit Pistons.
I'll give you that.
You guys have a big
let's not forget about the coaching. Bickerstaff's a great coach, but one thing about Brown, and this is his time to show it. Here's the best team he's ever had, and he is the king of adjustments.
He's
We've
the babysitter.
talked about that, right?
He's the babysitter.
Yeah, but like
you think he's a babysitter right now?
He actually was the babysitter for Bickerstaff.
No, I know.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
But that
But he's not calling Mike Brown a babysitter coach.
You know what?
No, he's babysitting.
Isn't that what Terry Bradshaw called Mike Brown?
Yes.
Did he call him a bait? That was the worst take of Terry Bradshaw's career.
That's what I thought.
Shame on you, Terry.
My bad, audience. That's where I thought you were going. You are correct. Sorry. Continue.
He babied him.
Yes.
He's gonna baby.
Yes.
Oh, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah,
I like it.
He's gonna out coach JB Bickerstaff.
Really?
Trust me.
Really?
I agree with you, AM.
I'm not as sure about that.
Listen.
I'm not as sure about that.
Listen, Rick spelled it out. The Pistons are deeper. JB Bickerstaff has more toys to play with.
Yeah.
I disagree.
So which means,
Wow.
dude.
I disagree. Shamit, it's emerging. He was injured.
Hold on.
Yeah, Deuce McBride is out right now. You have GTA. And I guarantee you, we're going to pick up a big.
We haven't heard from Alvarado yet, guys. We haven't heard from him yet.
No.
We did yesterday. We're going to
I love the pickup.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is the Pistons they're a deeper roster. They're a tougher.
Who has a better?
Yeah, but when you get to the playoffs, it's 8, maybe 9.
But why? Okay,
I know.
It's 8, maybe 9. It's not 12.
True.
To me, again, this comes down to Mike Brown. Is he ready? You talk about guys taking the next leap. Sometimes the coaches take the leap. Like Mike Brown is ready to take the leap.
And so is Bickerstaff.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Mike's paid more dues, but JB's ready for this. Man.
Absolutely. By the way, I think what we're all agreeing to, this could be the showdown for the
come on, man. I gotta see
We
this.
need to see.
I gotta see this.
play each other.
I have to see Spurs Thunder, and I have to see Knicks Pistons.
But all right, in a playoff series, most of the time, the starters will play most of the minutes.
Yeah.
And the Knicks have proven that they don't mind playing their starters.
But will Mike Brown go 40, 42, 44 like Tom Thibodeau?
As long as GTA gets in, and defensively, we're going to harass Cade. Cade is too laid back of a superstar to be great.
You think so?
He got outplayed last year, too. He
did. But he's more experienced now, though.
It doesn't matter, man. Jalen Brunson's clutch factor and the fact that he outplayed him last year, no one's worried about Cade. He's too laid back.
No one's worried about Cade Cunningham?
Were we worried about him last year? We were more worried about Malik Beasley taking the last shot, and he fumbled it.
Or he threw the game.
Yeah, I was more worried about Tim Hardaway
at the end of the game.
He does look. Cade is just cool. He's great. He's like a Grant Hill, but without that dunk package.
Okay.
But I just feel like, honestly speaking, I was more worried about Tim Hardaway Jr. getting hot and Malik Beasley getting hot. Cade is going to get his numbers, but they're not going to be impactful. He's going to get his 10 assists. Cool. Oh, wow, he has 10 assists, 24 points. But he's not going to do what Jalen Brunson does. And, we're going to harass him between OG, Mikal, GTA, Deuce McBride, and I'm sure Jalen Brunson's going to take a couple of charges.
That's cool. That's cool.
You're going to have an issue.
As long as the Pistons have home court advantage
It didn't matter last year.
Advantage Pistons. That's all I have to say.
And Asar Thompson is going to be a no-show. He has great defense, but he didn't do anything last year.
Fair enough.
He's not as good as we think he is.
AM.
Oh, I love this. I'm good. I'm good. I've said my piece. This is great. I just can't wait for that. What we're all saying, we hope that these two teams meet each other and clash. And even as a Knicks fan, not scared of the Pistons, but I get it. They're TBD. They're not a great matchup, but okay, you want to win the title? Got to go through the best.
It would behoove the Knicks to finish in second.
Mm-hmm.
You do not want to play the Pistons in the Eastern Conference semifinal.
Agreed.
Because if they lose in the Eastern Conference semifinal, it is a failure. When you fire Tom Thibodeau and you bring in Mike Brown to be the new head coach of the New York Knicks, the floor was 50 wins and at the very least, the Eastern Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Knicks better finish in second, so they at least guarantee themselves to face the Pistons in the Eastern Conference final.
Right now, the only team that's close to even getting second is Boston Celtics with their record, but we already won the matchup.
Yeah, but
that was a huge win last night.
Yeah, of course.
The Knicks.
But my point is, finish second. You have to finish second because, as I've been saying, you can't justify to the Knicks fan base to go all in for Antetokounmpo during this season. However, if the Knicks lose in the Eastern Conference semifinal, expect wholesale changes in New York this offseason. I'm not talking about Mike Brown either. That roster.
Of course, yeah.
Everybody. And that includes Jalen Brunson.
No.
Hold on.
No. Everybody except him.
And Josh Hart.
Who did the organization a solid.
It's a cultural thing.
By taking a $113 million haircut. Don't ask me why you did that, but kudos to you. You're a better man than me. But I'm telling you right now, this group has been given a 2 to 3 year window to succeed. This will be the third time they didn't succeed. I expect everybody on that roster is open season for trading. I am telling you, watch what happens this offseason.
The Knicks,
if they lose.
The Knicks aren't ducking any smoke. I'm
not talking about ducking smoke.
No, I know. So it doesn't matter whether they're 2 or 3. They will be 2 because they're just that good.
Win.
They're just that good. They're just that good.
Win.
And the strength of schedule in the beginning of the year was favorable for the Detroit Pistons.
It was.
They weren't challenged.
They didn't
have that's why they had the best record
right
quite some time.
Win.
Yeah.
Win.
We're going to check them.
Okay.
Absolutely
right.
true.
Win.
Guys, it is Rant 30. It is time for the roundtable rant here. It is Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Rick Hamill, Dwight Walton, A.M. Pfeffer, Dr. X, a.k.a. Dr. Phil McDonald. I'll go first as I typically do. So I'm in the studio yesterday, and it's before the Super Bowl. Doc and Dwight had left, and so I was just here alone, kicking it, watching my Wolves lose by 830 points at home to the LA Clippers, who don't even really want to win right now. Okay, you get blown out at home by the Clippers. Guys, did you see what happened on Friday? The Minnesota Timberwolves lost a close game, but a home game to the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay? Again, a team that does not even want to win. The Timberwolves have a 32-22 record. 10 games over 500? No, that's not good enough. The Toronto Raptors have a 32-22 record. If I told you before the season, no matter what the record is, the Wolves have the same record as the Toronto Raptors, you'd be like, well, that sucks. Okay? So they should not have the same record as the 10 games over 500 Raptors. They should be better than this. Guys, right now the Timberwolves are in 6th place in the West and a half game up on the Phoenix Suns, who ain't going anywhere, right? The Timberwolves might be a play-in tournament team. Last 2 years in the Western Conference Finals. Is anybody else sounding alarms? I am. Okay, you guys, I don't think I've seen a team go through the motions all year like I saw yesterday with the Timberwolves and the Clippers. It was unbelievable. Like, Ant-Man had that big dunk, right? It went viral, and Ant-Man stunk yesterday. He did. Okay, he had a lousy first half when they fell into a hole, and he never really recovered from it, okay? And we know that he has these games. Here's the problem. Why the Wolves aren't better than they should be. And I'm not saying they should be tops in the NBA, blah, 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 blah. They should be an elite team, though, okay, to me. Top 5, 6 team. They're not there. Like I said, they're almost a play-in tournament team. They're hanging down with your super mid and crappy Golden State Warriors right now. What the hell? Okay, the Wolves don't have an identity. Anyone? They don't have an identity, okay? They also don't have a culture, all right? They don't have a leader. Oh, Ant-Man. That one didn't sit well, did it? And I know a lot of you out there, Ant-Man's a leader, Ant-Man. No, the hell he's not. No, he's not. A leader doesn't let your team get waxed by 800 points at home on Super Bowl Sunday to the damn Clippers, okay? Take on the matchup. Go guard Kawhi, who made every shot yesterday, okay? And you guys know I love Ant-Man, but I'm also a very fair critic of Ant-Man. The Wolves don't have a consistent closer/killer. Are you mad at me? The key word there is consistent. Is Ant-Man a consistent clutch killer? No. The games prove it. The stats prove it. We all know it to be true. Ant-Man is too goofy. He's too aloof. He's too above it all, okay? Losses don't wound him. He shrugs them off. He'll be asked a question after a game, and he'll have, that beautiful Ant-Man smile, that 1,000-watt light up, an arena smile, right? We love that about Ant-Man. It's not about that after you lose a really critical game. Man, we'll come back out. But, all the stuff that he does, it's too laid back, okay? Ant-Man needs to establish an identity and a culture for this team. I can tell you right now, guys, Chris Finch is a good coach. Is Chris Finch a great coach? Is he a gangster coach? No, he's not. Okay, he's not. And by the way, if this Wolves season keeps going like this, we know what's going to happen. Okay, and Chris Finch, as I love him. I really do. But he's not a great coach. Great coaches can instill culture. It typically has to come from the players. But there are examples of coaches that can instill a culture. Tom Thibodeau, okay, is just one of them. So let's go around the NBA. You have Jalen Brunson culture with the New York Knicks, okay? We're clutch, we're badass, we're tough, we're mentally tough, and they all play like that, except Cat. You have Wemby culture in San Antonio. He's the proverbial bleep hole, okay? He's not there to make friends. He's not there to have fun. He's there to pull the heart out of the opponent every night, period, okay? And if you're not with that plan, then he's going to probably ship you out of town like LeBron did Ricky Davis way back in the day in Cleveland, all right? You have SGA culture with the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's not Daigneault culture. It's SGA culture. Playing every game, 30 points every night, playing killer defense on both sides of the ball. He sets that. Jokic culture in Denver, okay? And he's laid back and funny and all that, but you know what? Between the lines, he's giving you 35, 17, and 14, okay? And he's a champion. You have Draymond culture in Golden State. It ain't Steph culture. It's not Kerr culture. It's Draymond culture. Okay. And that's like the best thing that Draymond does, right? We're badasses and we take on everybody. And that mindset, right? It's Draymond culture. Okay. Draymond, we actually went through a show and I did not bang on you. I gave you credit. I want the record to show that. You have Dylan Brooks culture in Memphis and now in Phoenix. Dylan Brooks establishes a culture. Have you been paying any attention? Did you watch Phoenix last year? They had the spine of what's like a sea creature without a spine? Like what do you call this thing that goes like that?
Jellyfish.
The jellyfish. Okay, last year they were a freaking jellyfish. Now they got 3 spines. Okay, it was a horrible analogy. Stay with me. Okay, you have 3 coaches in the NBA right now who have established culture. 3. Like I said, it's a short list. Eric Spoelstra, obviously Riley too, but I don't want to. It's Spo culture, Joe Mazzulla culture in Boston, and Ime Udoka culture in Houston. Though they literally have established the culture for their teams. Chris Finch isn't at that level, okay? He can't do that. The Wolves don't have a coach or a star player with the aura to establish an identity or a culture. Ant-Man has it in him. He does. It's in there, okay? He's just got to unlock it. And it all comes down to Ant-Man being a bleep hole. Okay, he's got to become a Jordan-esque bleep hole, a Kobe-esque bleep hole, a Wemby-esque bleep hole. Jalen Brunson, I promise you, is a bleep hole. I don't even know him. I promise you he's a bleep hole. That's how you lead the league in clutch every year, okay? So that's the only way that Ant-Man can do this. He's too laid back. He doesn't internalize losses, and he needs to. He needs to let them hurt. Feel the trauma. Feel the pain. As Nick Saban said, embrace the suck. Okay, he doesn't do that. He's just, all right, we lost, season over. Cool, where are we going on vacation, right? And I don't know, maybe he is bummed out a little bit, but it doesn't feel that way, okay? He's got, Ant-Man, I love you, bro. And he's got maturing to do, and we're watching this in real time, and I believe 3 years, 4 years from now, we're going to be talking about him. He checked all these boxes. He established identity and culture. He's not too laid back. He's kicking ass and taking names, and he's got a ring, okay? But that's what this team needs. But right now, guys, the Wolves don't have an identity. They don't have a culture. It's not Finch's fault. It's Anthony Edwards' fault. But Anthony, I love you, but please listen to these words and implement them to your life, and I'm out on that. Dwight Walton, you are next.
No, I'm trying to, okay. First of all, it is an honor and privilege to be here in Los Angeles, California. We are here on the cusp of All-Star Weekend. And I have a message for the players. The NBA All-Star Weekend hit an all-time low last season. Adam Silver and the powers that be in the NBA's Rules Committee have been doing their damnedest, not their darndest, their damnedest, to try to improve NBA's All-Star Weekend. But ultimately, it comes down to the players. And I'm imploring the players to do the right thing and play hard. I think they're taking the challenge from the National Hockey League last year that had the Four Nations Cup by bringing the USA versus the world concept to the NBA All-Star Weekend. We're going to see some of the best 24 players in the NBA on the basketball court at the same time. Do us, the fans and the media, a service and play hard. Do the right thing. Don't go out there and half-ass the tournament. Play hard. Play basketball. Do the right thing. We could talk about back in the 80s and 90s how things were better. Okay, we could talk, as an old school person, I could say that, how the game meant more. It was competitive. The guys took it serious. But now it's your turn. Do the right thing. USA versus the world. It doesn't get any better than that. We're going to see the best basketball players. I'm not concerned, although listen, I'm also emotionally invested in the Rising Stars game because my godson Keyshawn George is going to be playing in the game, and he's earned it. It's well-deserved. Congratulations to you, my godson. I'm really proud of you. Much love to you. But I think the fans want to see a great all-star game. It's up to the players now. You could blame Adam Silver as much as you want. You can blame whomever else as much as you want. But the onus is now on you, the players. Do the right thing, play hard, make us proud, make us want to come back for more next year, to where the USA versus the world could be an annual thing, not just a solution to an experiment. That's not what we want. We want this game to be great, all right? Just do the right thing, play hard. It's on you guys to make this thing work. That's all I got to say.
The whole game or just the fourth quarter?
Well, okay, you know what? The great all-star games have been fantastic in the fourth quarter. So I get it. It's showtime. You want to entertain the fans. You want to appease the fans. I get it. All right. The dunk contest has gone to you know what. The 3-point contest and the skills tournament, they've done their job. They've kind of kept it going. And the Rising Stars game is the Rising Stars game. But the grand finale should be the most important part of the weekend, and that's the game. Do what you have to do. Enough of this 200 to 195 final scores. That's not realistic. That's not basketball. Make the game competitive. Do the right thing again. The onus is on you guys. Please play hard.
From cuz to cuz, like Vince Carter to Tracy McGrady, what is your rant here before the end of the show?
I'll say this, guys. I'm about to give you Dr. X's power rankings right now. And it's going to be maybe more than 5 teams because I have the Knicks. The New York Knicks are going to be number 1 along with OKC. I don't think that streak we went on was a fluke. I think that we should look at it, the fact that they're being able to hold really good teams to under 100 points. Like, this is 90s basketball without a problem, and they're easily scoring over 100 points. I think the Knicks and OKC are number 1. So that's just one team. That's it. 1. Number 2 is going to be the Denver Nuggets. You add Aaron Gordon back to that starting lineup, and they got some dogs.
He should sit out.
You got some dogs with Christian Brown, but the Peyton Stewart.
Peyton Watson.
Peyton Watson. They got Tim Hardaway Jr. They got Bruce Brown.
Yep. So that's my number 2 team. Okay, 2 team. Then I have Detroit Pistons because they do have the dogs and they do have a good 1-2 punch with Cade and Duran. So that's my number 3 team. After that, I would say it's the Spurs, the Wemby factor, and they got some dogs, and that translates well with the playoff matchup, right? I don't have any more West teams after that.
I thought you were going to say Houston.
No,
I know you've been kind of big on Houston.
I don't like the way they're playing. They don't have an identity. They're sometime-ish. I think their biggest identity is Coach Ime Udoka. Outside of that, Durant does what he does, but he needs some help.
Mm-hmm.
I think Shingun has been stinking it up lately.
By the way, make the All-Star team. Yeah. Let's go, Adam. Way to go.
Yeah,
way to not screw that up.
I love the way he plays. He's like a baby Jokic. He plays hard. He's not the great defense, but he knows how to pose. He knows how to get his buckets. He can hit the three as well. Great player, but I just don't have Houston up there. I believe what Cleveland is building. So I have Cleveland as my next team. And after that, I think Joel Embiid is a problem if he's healthy. So I have them as my next team. I don't think the Celtics are in it this year. And I can't deal with the whole, I'm not sure if I'm coming back and all this other stuff.
You know he's not coming back.
Yeah, so I'm not even gonna rank the Celtics. I mean, they had 80-something points. Literally had 80-something points in the game yesterday against the Knicks at home.
Yeah.
The Patriots are in the Super Bowl, and yet they couldn't even score over 100 points and make it competitive.
Well, that's a bad day for New England sports.
And lastly, Detroit, let's not forget, they had a full-strength team that got beat by your Wizards, and the Wizards were trying to lose, and they beat the Detroit Pistons. Explain that.
And then the next night, what did Detroit do to your Knicks?
With who wasn't full strength. Okay. So they should have did that yesterday against the Wizards. You can't just lose games. You're trying to keep the number one spot. You said they're prioritizing getting home court advantage. Well, that was an easy game to win. Show us how good you are.
You're right.
You know, if you're not leading by the third quarter, you should already put the clamps on.
Hey, listen,
they couldn't do it.
The Chicago Bulls lost to the Toronto Raptors the year they won 72 games, so it happens.
Exactly.
It happens.
Right?
Was it just Raptors beat them once that year.
And you know what? Happens. When I was in Fiji enjoying the pool and watching the Knicks on my little iPhone, it happens. The Knicks got blown out, but you know what? They actually learned. That's the kick in their ass that they needed, and now they're going to adjust. And now they have the rest of the season. But I don't think it's that streak wasn't a fluke. They locked in on defense. They changed things. They're going to push everybody to the baseline instead of the middle. And now all of a sudden, teams are struggling with them, and they have one of the best defenses in the league, and their offense is right there with it.
A.M. Pfeffer, you are going to wrap up the show with your rant.
Appreciate that. I've been giving this a lot of thought. Something's happened in the last month. Two things have happened in the last month that have given me pause and allowed me to question. Because, look, I am like a lot of you, like all of us who are fans of the game. Like, I love the Warrior mentality and the story of the guy, especially in the playoffs when the player comes back in. They're hurt. They get back in the game. They finish it out. It doesn't matter if the leg or the arm is dangling off. Concussions, as where they've come to. And thankfully, there is that blue tent, and it should be that way. And JSN was taken out of the game the other night. But really, the two things that have me thinking about this are Bo Nix and Lindsey Vonn. I'm wondering where the line gets drawn. Bo Nix, as we found out after the fact, after he broke his ankle, this was not if, but when, apparently, right? Like, he was going to break his ankle. I don't know what his career looks like going forward. Does he come back? Does he just heal it up and this is going to happen again? And this is the right thing to do? Lindsey Vonn, 13 seconds in, horrific crash. Should she have been up there? And I know, look, there's plenty of conversation out there in the social media atmosphere that doesn't need me actually giving an answer as to even what I think. I don't need to stake a claim on this. I'm not expecting anybody else to. But sports is an interesting thing every once in a while, right? It really allows us to give pause and where the lines are drawn and how we feel and the human emotion and how all of us perceive this. And again, that athlete who comes back in and gives their all and will effectively die on the battlefield during the playoffs. But if you know what's coming, and I think that there's something to be said about Bo Nix and there's something to be said about Lindsey Vonn, and I'm sorry it happened, but like it didn't happen to any other skier. It happened to someone whose knee was not where it should have been, and she ultimately got a broken leg and had to get surgery after the fact. There's something to think about that as fans, and that's all I want to say. It just gives us pause. It compartmentalizes. Dwight, please.
No, can I ask you a question, A.M.?
Yeah.
Would you be surprised if Lindsey Vonn, at 46 years old, tries to compete in the Olympics in 4 years from now?
It wouldn't surprise me at all. After what she just went through, and she was 41, and what she had gone through just recently with her knee, and how bad it was to go up there and try what she did. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to happen and she's going to beat out whoever else could be on the team and all that. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Did you see what her dad said?
No, I didn't.
Her dad said that if it were up to him, that she'll never. I don't know if he said she'll never ski again, but he said if it's up to me, she won't be in the Olympics in 4 years. So that's what he said. And he was a skier or a ski jumper or something back in his day and taught her how to ski. I just want to send Lindsey Vonn love. I mean,
100%.
I don't know where this goes. And, she will be a GOAT and she's going to be on TV commercials because she's got a huge name, right? Good looking lady, like the camera loves her and all that kind of stuff. But, you said it, like, why do I love Jalen Brunson so much? Because he's clutch and tough. Those are my two favorite things about athletes. Kobe Bryant, he's in my top 5 favorite athletes of all time. What was Kobe's whole thing? Being tough and being clutch, okay? And so I love players that fight through injuries, and it drives me crazy when players, like Anthony Davis, right? A sprained finger on your non-shooting hand. Are you freaking? And we have Lindsey Vonn out there with USA on her chest and on her back and stuff with an unhealed torn ACL going down a scale at 70 miles an hour. Anthony Davis, are you hearing any of this? Are you serious right now? So I just want to send Lindsey Vonn a bunch of love. I don't know where this is going, but I just super appreciate. And it's not even like American pride and patriotism. It's just athletic greatness and toughness. Like, I just love that she was like, how did she qualify on a torn ACL?
Like I said,
I didn't understand how she was in the Olympics.
Much respect to her. Because, again,
it's beyond.
And it's crazy because it doesn't speak to what we feel is a soft generation, right? She's doing exactly what most of us would try. It's the Olympics.
It's only
every 4 years, but she's like, you know what? Can I withstand the pressure that's going to be on my knees? I know I'm going against every medical opinion on this, but I'm going to go out there and serve my country and serve myself to the best of my ability. She crashed ultimately, but again, knowing her mindset, and I know her father doesn't want to, but I have a feeling in 4 years we're going to hear from Lindsey again.
Well, ultimately, that's up to her. I mean, he can say whatever he wants, but it's her decision. You know what I'm saying? And he said that, if it's up to me, if I have any input at all, I would recommend that she not do this again. But Lindsey, we love you. And she already had surgery and she was airlifted out, kind of a scary scene. But, ultimately she's going to be fine. And Lindsey, now it's about monetizing, okay? Come on, get him, Lindsey. Come on, get him. All right, this has been phenomenal. Doc, this studio, big shout out to Jason Arambula, our producer, and Kai Josephson, our video director. They're sensational. They're brilliant. I mean, you should see the cameras and the lights and all the gear. It's insane. But guys, we're going to be here all week long. We will see you again on Thursday here live in our LA studios. And then Monday after All-Star Sunday night and All-Star weekend, we will be here as well. So it's 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern, and we will see you on Thursday. And so for Dwight Walton, for A.M. Pfeffer, for Dr. X.A., a.k.a. Dr. Phil McDonald, and our great crew, I am Rick Hamlet. Thanking you for watching this episode of Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. See you Thursday.
We out.